Okay. The U.S. and Iran signed a memorandum of understanding, which is a temporary agreement designed to allow negotiations for a permanent ceasefire. The MOU is fiercely controversial due to its terms. Iran will get $300 billion in restitution from the Gulf states, $25 billion in unfrozen assets, removal of the U.S. naval blockade, the lifting of all sanctions, and an end to hostilities in Lebanon.
Hell yeah!
And we hopefully, yeah. In return, Iran will negotiate the end of its nuclear program. Some are saying this is overly generous. Others are saying that it looks like American surrender. Israel, in particular, has made it clear that its government is not in support of the deal if they weren't a signatory, and has taken steps to sabotage the deal with subsequent attacks against Lebanese territory. Are you in support of the deal? Do you think this was a fair exchange? If not, how would you prefer this conflict to be resolved? This this deal has caused earthquakes, like political earthquakes, mostly on the right, I think, honestly. But I mean, in terms of the Democratic Party establishment, they don't like it because they're Israel firsts as well. Total Zionists, so they also want the war to continue. But talking about ignoring the political establishment for a second, right? But among the base, yes, this is fiercely controversial, right? Even if you're maybe not for the war, right? Maybe people don't want us to exit the war in this particular way. But yeah, so I want to hear people's opinions all on that. I think a lot of us actually going to agree on our opinions of the deal. I think there's going to be a lot of consensus on that. But even still, I want to have a larger conversation on the Iran war, of us, why did we get into it? How should we stay longer, right? Was it now that we were in it, how should it have been prosecuted, right? And how would you resolve it? So even if we agree on our feelings on the deal, because there might be a lot of that, right? Let's have a larger conversation beyond that. So start my friend Lactoid.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I just want to say that this deal that Trump made as the deal maker is incredible. It is a victory upon victories. Trump is the first president in all of American history to bring back the JCPOA. No other president could bring it back. No other president could bring it back. Biden couldn't do it, but Trump did. Yeah, I don't know what you want from me. It fucking sucks. This horrible. Everything sucks. I'm more vindicated in my hatred of the decision to go to war in Iran in the first place, because what we got just appears to be.
Still love your vote.
Okay with my vote, maybe. Anyway. Yeah, terrible. Where do we go from here? I'm happy the war is over. That's pretty cool. Or hopefully it's over. We'll see. We'll
count your chickens, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm trying. I don't know what you want from me, dude.
Trying to defend Trump is hard, man.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It should have been better. I would. Yeah, the whole we're gonna give you a bunch of shit and then we're gonna make a deal later. Come on, we should have had something in place when we're gonna start handing over the money. We should have had something some kind of, hey, you're never gonna be able to get enriched uranium. Maybe, okay, now we're starting to talk, right? But this whole sort of, we'll have a conversation on the shit that actually matters, and in the meantime, we'll give you everything that you want. I think that this demonstrates that the Iranians. I think this is part of the benefit of being a fanatical theocracy, which is they are willing to die over just holding the line. And I think we ran into that with the Taliban. I think we're running into it with Iran. And I think it's a lesson that unfortunately we needed again so soon after Afghanistan, that maybe we shouldn't do shit like this. So that's my take.
Okay, 1 second, guys. Pause. Sorry, guys, I didn't see this. This is the blast super chat pass. I didn't see the super chats immediately. Okay, all right. So let me just get these out there. $2 from my listening library says, "Yo, Tom, hello. Thank you for that, and shout out to we're happy to have Tom here. I've missed him myself. And then $2 from Sup Nerd Hope. You doing good? You Nork. I'm not sure who they're talking to.
Nice. You Nork. That's a good name.
Are they talking to me? Am I the dork?
I would assume it's your channel. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't know, but
maybe they meant to donate to some other channel, just accidental super chat.
It could be. Yeah, it happens, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. And then our good friend Doobie sent $20. Says all grown men should have an extensive collection of cologne for different occasions, temperatures, seasons, etc.
That's my fellow brown boy
at
right
that point,
there.
we're kind of dragging
That's my fellow brown boy right there. Brown boys know what's up.
A collection is crazy.
A collection.
I have an extensive. Listen, right now I have maybe like 17 like colognes just like chilling.
We need to calm down at that.
Listen, dog, I'm Middle Eastern.
Dude, he's from the Middle East. It's fine.
This is
better
my
than the
vibe.
opposite problem.
Yeah, listen. That or bombs. You guys pick.
Middle Easterns.
You know, I think.
Have you ever smelled a fully pheromoned up Turkish guy? It's a little tough.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave that one alone.
We're gonna ignore that one.
Yeah. Doobie, I disagree. Friend, grown men, extensive. First of all, Doobie.
I mean, you could disagree. You'd be wrong, though. That's the only issue.
But hold on, Doobie. First of all, Doobie is like very wealthy, and so he can have an extensive collection of anything he wants, right?
Except there are inexpensive colognes. You don't have to buy expensive
except for
colognes.
like mega yachts, right? Other than that, like he's not that rich. He can have So I have an extensive collection of like cheap colognes.
Like, it's not cheap. They're just inexpensive. Like not everything has to be expensive for it to be like worth it.
Brand.
I don't, or just like no. I can just put on deodorant.
Okay.
I don't know how that like all grown men. All right. Again, I'm not arguing with you so much. I'm arguing with Doobie.
Well, I agree with Doobie, and I'm defending that super chat.
Okay.
You have the same position, so you pretty much are.
I just don't see the need. If like one cologne you have smells good, what's the point of using other ones?
I'll answer you. So like no. So there's seasonal, right? Because like I have like sweet colognes. You can't wear those in the summer. You be smelling sticky. It just doesn't go. So you got to wear like citrusy, maybe grapefruit, something a little bit more chill. And then you have like office colognes. There are certain colognes you know too overpowering. You can't wear them in the office. Certain colognes you wear to the gym. Certain colognes you wear out. You know, there's date night colognes. There's just regular colognes, just on a regular day out. Like there's your dailies. There's your special events. There's different scents for different occasions, man. Scent is one of your 5 senses. This is a big embrace, right?
Yeah,
flowers is the whole thing. I mean, sure. Right. In a world with beautiful fragrances, the Old Spice is what we should be aspiring to. Correct.
I don't know if Ali has like ever been so disappointed in me.
Listen, I'm the kind of like I sprayed cologne before I came and sat down here. Like I like cologne.
Okay, I mean,
I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, that's fair, right? Like if it's something that a person like, I can't criticize a person for liking the things we like, right? My problem is with Doobie saying all grown men should. It'll
change your life once you do. It'll change your life. You get 3 different scents. It'll change your life. Go, bam.
Go ahead. Oh no. Actually, no. I have a.
No, you got to remove Doobie. Oh, okay.
From Doobie, $20 says if you don't want to splurge, you can get expensive colognes with something like Decant X.
Yeah.
You can get small sizes to try them out before you settle on the ones you like.
True.
But like why? But like I get the sample size. Okay, right? Yes, it'd be nice to have some samples and whatever, right? But like again, what you're asking me, Doobie, you're asking me to like come up with a collection, right? And like do what our friend Ali was doing, right? And have different scents for different times. Like, but why? Like You have deodorant. I mean, if you want to be a fancy guy, right, a fancy lad, then you're free too.
You can listen. Small bottles, you can find these at Burlington, TJ Maxx. These are 20.
Yo,
30
are we
bucks.
here to talk about killing Iranians or what?
Here's your $300 bottle. You don't have to buy these, and then you can buy your little $40, $50, $70 bottles. These are good, man.
Yo, if I wanted to get advice about how to smell good from brown and black men, I would go to my local mall. I'm ready for geopolitics.
And we will.
Connor, if you ever need advice, holler at me. I got you.
Yeah, just came in.
And my chat.
I'm going to drag this as long as Doobie gives him money. Sorry, lock in.
I will do that. 100%. That's exactly what's happening. Doobie says, don't buy inexpensive colognes. Might as well just buy Axe at that point. Yeah, we want to avoid that. Fuck that shit. Just be smart about it, okay? Americans smelled better. If Americans smelled better, we wouldn't have been totally ruined by Iran. Connor. Yeah, Connor.
What?
If Americans smelled better, we wouldn't have been totally military ruined by Iran. This is because of the lack of masculinity, right? Like men aren't men.
We need more perfume for masculinity.
More perfume for masculinity. Thank you, Doobie, for the kind.
Men smell better. They'd have more women. They'd fight harder in war, right? Because they'd have something to fight for. Men don't have anything to fight for anymore, guys. That's really the issue. And then the cologne helps.
Hey, do you have a war cologne where you go out on the battlefield?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Amouage Outlands, 100%. You spray that for war.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh my God.
Cool. Let's go to our friend Bam again. Thank you, Doobie, for being so kind and helping us out. Really appreciate it.
So jumping back in, everything related to this war has been a disaster, but it's more complicated than that. I believe that it obviously this all starts back to the destruction of the JCPOA. There's people who wouldn't defend that deal when this deal is literally 300 times worse, like numerically worse in the amount of money we're giving to Iran. Even the talking points against the JCPOA are just repeating things that Trump said that aren't demonstrated. They said that, like, if you ask somebody what was the problem with the JCPOA, they use the exact same phrase. They say it sets up Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and then you say, what do you mean by that? And they don't know what they mean by that. It's just a Trump quote. We know that they were holding to enrichment levels of about 3%, which I think is normal enough to do like power plants and things like that. I think that the expectations for this deal were never going to be perfect. Like, I don't think that Iran has to have 0% enriched uranium. I don't think that was a reasonable expectation to begin with. Like, it's better for the environment, it's better for the world, for everyone to get on to nuclear. It's just, like I said, having limits and having a review. This memorandum of understanding does none of that. But I'll be fair in that the adult in the room did realize that, like, oh, wait a minute, we can't just do this. Like, the world global oil reserves are about to actually run out. So we were put into a position where we did have to sort of bend over and take it. We had to take whatever deal we can for now to get the strait open, so that hopefully we can refuel the reserves and get to a point where we do something else about it. Like, they talk about, like, this being the setup for the deal. That was never going to be the case. This is like, the idea of the deal has been what Trump's done his entire term. He did this with the UK, like on his first 90 deals in 90 days. He did a setup for a deal with them. He did a setup for a deal with China. He did a setup for a deal ending the Israel-Gaza war. None of these deals actually made it to step 2. Like, he does the like TV the TV thing. He waves his hand, and then he gets bored with it and he moves on, and no one talks about that. None of these things actually get worked out anymore past that. It's an unfortunate reality. It looks like the Iran's, well, I think they already had an idea, like, but I think they're learning now. They're like, oh, we actually don't need nuclear power. We can shut down the global oil reserves anytime we want to. And as soon as they shook their hand, they was like, you know what? We're going to do it because Trump went on TV and admitted how low the oil reserves were. and they're saying they're like, hey, maybe if we do this, we can make Israel stop for a little while. Like maybe they can't stop them completely, but the U.S. can put enough pressure on them to stop them from attacking the Houthis. And yeah, they've got us right now. We don't have a good way out of it. We've tried bombing them. All we can do now is commit war crimes and bomb civilians and bomb like civilian bridges and try to squeeze them that way. But there's not a good solution.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Well, I guess maybe in a somewhat rare occurrence, I agree mostly with Lactoid, where I don't see how this is anything other than a loss, although it's never going to be framed that way, especially by Republicans or Trump. Although I don't see why they shouldn't get even $400 or $500 billion in restitution. Why not just up the number? But all that to say is am I in support of this deal? My answer is, I guess yes, in the sense that if it stops the war or the excursion, great, since it never should have happened to begin with. But I don't know how you can square this or how any of the real objectives have been achieved. Although I don't think it was ever really explicitly made clear what the objectives are. Either regime change, free the Iranian people, ensuring that they don't get a nuclear weapon. I don't think this memorandum of understanding even addresses that, and then just kicks the can down the road. I think arguably probably would have been better if the U.S. just withdrew overnight and just wash their hands of it. But then I think everyone would realize that is a clear loss. Okay, but they have to try to spin this into some sort of win, or we have a memorandum of understanding that we will do something, which will probably end up being we will do nothing. And so all that to say is it good that if this results in overall the war ending? Good. But I don't see how this is a win for the United States. And I think this is, let's say, a fair exchange for Iran. And if anything, not that I'm a foreign policy or geopolitical expert, but from what I can tell or gather is that, if anything, this further emboldens Iran. They recognize, as in they have a clear button they can push anytime that they want that punishes the entire world. Okay, they didn't know that before, and they know it now. I don't see how this puts the U.S. in a better position moving forward. And I will leave it there for now.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Ali.
I just want to be clear. I'm not a supporter of the Ayatollah or the IRGC. I think that shit's fucked up. Again, I think giving them $300 billion is fucking insane. All right, they're gonna do shit. However, it's gonna support all the causes I like. Right, you're gonna fight against Israel. Give them the money to fight against Israel. I'm down. I'm all for it. Let's go. However, this is just them having us by the nuts. And we've been in the Middle East for 70, 80, however long, since the 50s, going around trying to do a regime change, trying to change shit up, trying to have control of it. And we backed the wrong players. We thought we had support with people in Israel. And even Trump now is semi-losing the support that we have with Israel. And I'm pretty sure, as far as I know, I think the Iran closed the strait recently, because they're not just going to capitulate, because Israel isn't just going to stop bombing and trying to take over the south of Lebanon. They're just not going to start doing it. And America's in a tight spot, because Trump is either going to completely give in to all the assets that the Iranian needs, because we need to open the strait, or we're just going to go in and, to Bam's point, just start doing war crimes and bombing everyone, bombing civilians. And I don't know if the American government can hold off the people. The support of the people is going to dwindle more and more, and it's going to get to the point of riots. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see what happens here, but I don't think this is resolved. We're nowhere near resolved.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our newer friend Riddell.
This is one of those situations where I don't have to say much that hasn't already been said. Obviously, this is a bad deal. That's very clear. I think a lot of people understand that from both sides of the aisle. I think the interesting thing about this conversation is, will a lot of these Republicans kind of coincide with what they've been saying the entire time for the last couple of years regarding their biggest criticisms on how things were handled in regards to Iran? Will they keep the energy with hey, we're going into this war to ensure they don't get nukes? Oh, then we did a deal and we didn't confirm anything regarding nukes. Will they keep that energy? Will they keep the energy about, you know what, we can't give money to Iran. That's not okay. That's obviously bad. And then we're about to give money to Iran. Will they keep the same energy? Well, for the people who hate Israel, go hey, we don't like Israel. And in this situation where we had a deal put in place and we are supposed to have a ceasefire, the stuff with Israel and Lebanon and Hezbollah, it just allowed Iran to close the strait again. Do we actually have control, or does Israel have control? Who's in charge? There are so many things here that can potentially provide more of a split that already currently exists regarding the MAGA coalition. So we'll see how that in particular plays out. And I'm all for it because I want MAGA to be gone. So that's probably the most interesting part of this entire conversation. How will MAGA survive all of this? Because the only reason why they did the deal, in addition to the oil stuff, is because they're trying to save face as best as possible for the upcoming midterms.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Connor. Very happy to have him here. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Connor.
Who? To me?
Yeah, to you. Connor.
Yeah,
He
Okay.
changed it. He's no longer Connor.
I heard Connor, not counterpoints, and I was like, is he talking about?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So no. So yeah, I think I would be repeating what everybody said. So I would say the primary thing is like, I would love to see Admiral Gibbs spin this. That'd be quite funny, actually. But
He will.
the point is that, like, we got 60 days till the oil reserve is depleted. We are fucked, and Trump fucked us. You know? So like, I don't understand how you could see the Epstein files, how you could see this and just be like, oh yeah, everything, everything's good. Everything's Gucci. No, Trump sucks. He was a grifter. He lied to you. He enriched himself. It's just over. It's fucking over. And anybody simping for Trump at this point is a fucking dipshit.
Let's go to our friend, another person we're happy to have back, our friend Tom.
Yeah, the deal is absolutely atrocious. Like, there literally isn't a single good thing about this outside of the fact that it just completely proved liberals right, that Obama got an amazing fucking deal. I think this deal would have been acceptable in 2014 if we didn't have the JCPOA to compare it to and say, damn, you absolutely got fucked. Currently, Republicans do seem to be critical of the deal. Already we've had Bill Cassidy, Roger Wicker, Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, John Thune, Deb Fisher, like all Republicans pretty much across the board have been critical of this deal because they're upset that they're going to release sanctions again, which JD Vance 2 nights ago said that who was it? Jared Kushner had the bright idea to make sure that when they release sanctions, they're going to keep an eye on it and decide when they can or can't use it. And they're only going to allow Iran to take the money out of these accounts for humanitarian needs. Isn't that such a brilliant fucking idea? It's literally what was part of the JCPOA. It's literally what was part of Biden's money that he gave over to them. And it's just a lot more money now. I mean, at this point, Obama gave $1.7 billion, I believe. Biden gave a good bit more than that, but both of them were held by Qatar and South Korea, where they could only use the money for humanitarian aid, and now the $300 billion that goes into reconstruction and the aid here, it's a lot of this is actually going to make a big difference. A lot of the Republicans before with the JCPOA, they kept saying that Iran was going to use this money for their ballistic missiles, for their nuclear program, that they were using this money to send money to Hamas. Not only was this already restricted to where they couldn't use it for those things, but it also didn't relieve more money for them to send to Hamas either, because they never used any of it. They never took any of the money out. There was never a point where they used any of the pallets of cash that were sent over to Qatar, or and it was never, the money in South Korea was never used either. There literally isn't a single thing through this that is good, and the Trump administration has now cost the American taxpayers over $1 trillion, not just between how much money they had to pay for, bombs and missiles and rockets and drones and all that shit, aircrafts and military, what do you call it? Military bases that have been blown up. Like we've over $1 trillion in that, and
Infrastructure.
now the extra money that has also been cost to the Americans with oil, gas, food, things like that. So this has literally been another obvious and blatant reason to impeach this motherfucker. So.
Okay. Two things. I'll go to you, Bam. You'll be first. One, thank you for Vazar Raka for gifting a counterpoints, a membership to the channel. Much appreciated. Thank you for the kindness. We rarely get gifted memberships here, so we appreciate that. That's really, really kind of you. But I'll give you my opinion, right? And Lad has heard me say something similar in the past, so he won't be too surprised, right? This is a fantastic deal. It's a fantastic deal. We love it. We love this because it helps bring sanity back to U.S. foreign relations in the Middle East, right? And hopefully in general. The U.S. need to be humiliated because the U.S. thought that there were no limits to its imperial powers. There's a limit right here. We found it, right? This
don't make that claim. We don't know. Yeah. I would not put anything past this administration.
No. I'm saying it's a ability to win this war.
Sure.
Yeah.
That I agree.
Yeah. We found it. No, I would agree. Afghanistan, we lost Afghanistan. We absolutely lost it. Thank you for gifting 5 counterpoints. Politics memberships. That's
thank you, Batasui.
And yours. Okay.
I think you're getting gifted his memberships to his stream from his people.
1 counterpoints. These are this wasn't to you. This was
no, they're to you
because of StreamYard. No, they're not to me.
He's sharing.
No,
they're
to him.
Yeah, they're sharing the audience because it's streaming together on StreamYard.
Yeah. Sorry, I just. Okay. Well, anyway,
he retracts all his thanks.
Every single one. Thank you for supporting our friend Connor. Anyway,
fuck my audience.
I didn't say that. Sorry. Back to this. Yeah. So we absolutely need to understand the limits of our power, and to be fair, right? No other president was stupid enough to do this. Only Trump, right? Only Donald Trump was dumb enough to be led by Israel into this disastrous war. Obama pulled off a foreign policy coup, with the JCPOA, right? With the Iran nuclear deal. It was amazing. Iran, first of all, they had been making overtures to about their nuclear program for years beforehand. Right.
Well, if you're worried we're not going to fight, I can start simping for the CIA whenever you want me to.
Fantastic. I'd love to hear it. But for years they had been making overtures, right? As to trying to get pull back into the united global world, right? They wanted to be re-enter society, and they had been trying to make that happen, but they didn't have a partner. They shouldn't have a partner in George W. Bush, right? But when Obama came in, they're like, okay, this is our shot, right? Obama made overtures to them. They made overtures back. They got rid of Ahmadinejad, right? As their president, they sought a new guy, a moderate, and it actually it was years of planning, and lots of experts came together to make that deal. That deal was hundreds of pages long, right? Just whole sections of it were I think the accountability section was 150 pages long. It was crazy. A hell of a deal. A hell of a deal he created, right? And then after this, also one other thing is that part of the deal is that we also don't really talk about it, is that it was the accountability came from an international coalition. So it wasn't just the U.S. and Iran, right? And then the UN. No, China was involved in it. I think some European countries were involved a bit. Everyone was involved to making this deal happen.
Russia.
Trump comes in. He gets rid of the deal. Unilaterally gets rid of the deal, and he makes some spurious claims about Iran, right? We know Iran was following the deal scrupulously. And then even after he tore up the deal, they kept following the deal. They were still they followed all tenets of the deal after it got torn up, right? Because they thought themselves, okay, well, maybe we'll just wait for the Americans, right, to regain their senses. Just like everyone else around the world, they thought, oh, Trump is temporary madness from the Americans. Well, let's just keep with this, and then hopefully the next one will restart it. But then Biden came in, right? And something I didn't realize at the time, but became obvious very later on, Biden is a filthy fucking Zionist, right? And so he didn't restart the deal. They were waiting. Everyone was waiting at the time. I remember waiting, like thinking about this, like, oh, Biden was Obama's vice president. The Iranians thought the same thing. He's going to restart the deal. He had no plans of doing that, right? He got his marching orders from Israel, so that wasn't going to happen. And then Trump comes back into office, and he says, literally, there's a quote of him saying, right? Why hasn't anyone thought of making a deal with Iran? Seriously, that came out of his fucking mouth. Amazing. And then this happens, and then the Israelis, right, trick him. We have notes or articles talking about the meeting with Netanyahu in the Situation Room, right, with our staff, the head of the administration, right, talking about like what this would cost, and it's like, oh yeah, this will be fine, right? This will be easy, right? So criticize as liberators, and they fucking fell for it. These idiots fell for it. And then it's something I just don't want to forget, right? I'm almost done, I promise. So there were like negotiations that happened, right? After Israel attacked him for that 12-day war bullshit, right? There was negotiations that happened twice, right? And both times, Israel assassinated the negotiators, right? They assassinated them. They killed the negotiators, the ones doing the peace deal. And then we're told this entire time, right, from an establishment that had overthrown Iran's government like years ago, we're told that the Iranians, they're the barbarians. They can't be trusted. They're the violent. Did you like fucking legal? So when I look at this deal, right, this worst version of the JCPOA, this humiliation, yeah, I say this is a good, this is a great outcome, right? This needed to happen. Sanity needs to be reapplied to this situation, right? And it just took utter humiliation, utter embarrassment on the world stage, and now everyone knows, yeah, I guess the Americans don't have the juice because they didn't have the juice. Done.
Okay. Well, I think the solution to this is putting a bunch of Starlink terminals and machine guns into Iran. So,
well, I mean, dude, Biden did try to re-enter into the JCPOA.
Yeah,
he really did. He literally did. He did try to re-enter into the JCPOA. There were numerous like things that were kind of outrageous from Iran. One of them was that they wanted guarantees that a future president would not pull out. And there's no, Biden is not capable of giving that promise. He's literally not capable of making a promise like that if Trump got reelected again right after him, that he wouldn't re-enter. He did try renegotiating numerous times. And then shortly after, he had just given, unleashed more sanctions to them through South Korea, to where he was trying to show some like goodwill towards them because they were requiring all sanctions to be released before negotiations even began. And once he released these sanctions, that was in late September. And I don't know if you guys remember what happened. That was late September 2023. Beginning of October of 2023, there was a whole thing that happened that made them redo the sanctions and freeze the money again, and made it to where they were doing investigations into whether or not Iran was funding Hamas for October 7th. So there were a lot of complications at that point, but he was trying to get back into the JCPOA.
1,000%. He said he named it while he was president-elect, but also I want to make I want to actually, well, I say devil's advocate, but I think there's again, I argue these things in good faith, and I think there's possibly some truth to it. What do you guys say to the idea that like none of the money, none of the deal, none of the things listed, like everything that sounds crazy, but if none of it actually, like if you're sitting at the negotiation table, they say none of this actually matters because like we don't have to do any of it. Like if from the United States perspective, they're like, oh, okay, like this war was a terrible idea, but the oil reserves are running low. If we can just sign a paper that says whatever they want, like the Iranians also want to get their oil back in the market. Like we can lift some sanctions on them so they can make some money they can actually make money that way to rebuild their country. But like as far as agreements from the Gulf states, I mean, what did they promise Trump? They were going to put in America like $15 trillion. Like they make up numbers that they're not actually going to like,
none of that shit's happening.
Well, that's something I wanted to.
So I'm saying, what if they just said that, like, okay, we can get the straits open, we can walk away from this, and like, yeah, it says $300 billion, but like no one has, they didn't have.
They're never going to give them that $300 billion.
Well, I wanted to clarify on that point because Tom, I may have taken some issue with something you said. Did you say it would cost U.S. taxpayers $1 trillion or around there?
Yes,
I think he's saying cumulatively.
Yes, it's cumulative, not just for taxes, but also for like the amount of money
like
that they had
increased
to spend on
cost
extra,
of living related
yes,
to increases in
yes,
petroleum
everything.
costs.
Yes.
Dude, here's the thing. 20%, 20% of the world's oil comes out of the Strait, but also specifically 20% of China's petroleum comes out of Iran. And therefore, if you increase the cost of their goods, and we are buying a shitload of Chinese goods, and those go up, then obviously that's like an added cost to the American consumer.
It is. It's difficult because, like, you're right. Like, I think there is overall a negative effect. Now, I haven't done the math to offset that with the positive effects. Well, now Chinese firms need to buy oil from Western oil producers, like in America, for example, which could potentially, that raises money for us. And so what's the offset between that and the economic damage that's done when China doesn't, I guess, isn't able to ship their widgets for the same price? I mean, from what I'm seeing in terms of direct money cost from the U.S., I mean, that part's not too concerning, right? From my understanding, it's nothing in terms of U.S. dollars, like taxpayer dollars going to Iran.
Well, technically,
it actually make it,
the deal was vague on that.
Well, we don't know.
Well, it makes it better than if we're giving it. Yeah.
As in, you're okay.
We
don't know. But if China says, I'm going to give Iran $300 billion, you're okay with that?
No,
I
Corey,
think that's better than us giving it.
You're giving up a point.
Okay.
You don't have to give up a point.
No.
The memorandum.
Of course.
The memorandum specifically stated that the United States, in combination with the Gulf states, would come up with some reasonable like fund valued at minimum $300 billion. Now, what you call it came back and said, oh, that's not going to be our money, but the deal doesn't say it's not going to be our money.
Sure.
They're
being purposely vague with that.
It's vague
for a reason.
I mean, they're not being vague with the statement.
There's some, they are, because they're also noting that a lot of the money can come from private investors from the U.S. I don't even know what the fuck that means. So it's like,
well, it means that Trump is going to war with them to hold them hostage so that he can force them to let him invest in their country. So now he makes a lot of private money off of this. Yeah,
hotels in Iran. Trump hotels in Iran.
He has so many foreign deals. We already know that. So the idea that like Americans are not giving them money is just not true. Now, if we're talking about like taxpayers, like a more direct claim like that, that's different. But we don't know exactly how much money we're giving and who's giving the money.
Okay, so here's what we know. You're right. Anything could change. Who knows at the end of the day? But I think it's only fair to talk about, because maybe afterwards, like it turns out, in addition to like the actual deal that's made after the MOU is Iran never gets to have any enriched uranium again. That's going to be maybe that's going to be fucking close to. That's a pretty fucking good deal at that point. That is a significant improvement over the JCPOA. I'm holding my breath for that. I'm not expecting that to actually be the case.
Why is that even an improvement?
But for Iran to never get a nuke?
No, not to never get a nuke, to never enrich. Like we say, any enrichment, like the
So I'll explain. I'll explain.
Yeah,
so the JCPOA had restrictions on they can only enrich to, I think it was like what, 3.17%. But that expired. But that expired in 2030, and then they could enrich to whatever they wanted.
No, it's 2025. It was 2025, and they were able to extend it another 10 years. So it started in 2015, it ended in 2025, and then they were able to extend it another 10 years when it.
So what I'll look into that again. I read 2030. If I'm wrong, then still 2035. That's still temporary, as opposed to some kind of
I think we can
firm
make a deal over
commitment.
20 years.
Some kind of firm commitment as to never getting it. Right. Again, I'm trying to deal with what we have on paper. Well, not only what we have in paper on the table, but what also is being stated as terms like the actual intents, both by Iran and by our own U.S. leadership. And when the U.S. leadership is saying, look, this $300 billion fund is going to come entirely from the Gulf states, and it's only going to be distributed when certain criteria are met by Iran. Yeah, what certain criteria means, I don't fucking know. But they seem to be pretty fucking clear that it's not coming for the U.S. taxpayer. There's still the fact that we paid for the bomb. It's still that we paid for the bombs, right? So that's what, $80 billion is what I was able to find from Reuters. Is what's being requested. At least part of $80 billion is being requested to rearm and replenish the munitions that we spent in Iran, which is still way too much fucking money, right? I mean, fuck that. But I mean, to sell it like it's going to cost the U.S. taxpayers $1 trillion. Like, if we want to like speculate as to the total economic impact in total, like comes out to $1 trillion, maybe. I don't know. That seems to be like the very upper ends of the estimates. It's certainly not like it wouldn't be as if the U.S. paid $1 trillion in taxpayer funding. That would be a complete catastrophe. That would be enough that I think Trump should probably just resign. $1 trillion.
Well, we already know that there's like about 100 billion in like, you know, bombs and munitions and things like that, plus like, you know, bases that were destroyed, plus, you know, the amount of like cost of fuel and food. There were just so many different things and then on top of that, we literally had fighter jets that went down. Like there were, I think hundreds of people who have been injured. Like it has been fairly costly, but I did link an article, in the, Discord from CNBC saying the Iran war could cost the American taxpayer $1 trillion, says Harvard academic estimates that could total and far higher than was promised.
But I mean,
over the next
anyone
decade,
dealing with my earlier point though, what do you think? Like, does it make it okay if they just decide that like, oh, okay, well, it doesn't make it okay, but is it better if they feel like, oh, if we walk away and the strait's open, like, yeah, this was bad, but
well, we're not
better. Yeah, better for us. Yeah,
sorry, I'm waiting for us
us
to get to some contention. But Al Udeid Air Base has like 10,000 people in it. It's literally across the strait. We're not walking away. There are like zero situations where we would draw all our troops from the Middle East and North Africa, as was claimed by, you know, some Middle Eastern and North African people. So we're never, we will always be right there. And I also guarantee you, here's another thing. We're also going to be supplying dissidents in Iran with internet connections and small arms. So this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, we might have a permanently denuclearized Iran. Well, as soon as, you know, some CIA guys get caught with Starlink terminals and fucking AK-47s inside Iran, Iran's going to say, fuck you, we're shredding the deal, we're going back to nuclear enrichment. You know, so I mean, this is all
to me, I think so. If you look at the scenario that Trump is in when he comes into office, like the fact that Biden had already tried renegotiating this and tried getting back into the JCPOA, and the demands that Iran was making at that time that were just kind of untenable, it does seem as though some sort of military action was going to have to take place in order to force them back into a reasonable deal in a reasonable scenario where they could start negotiating again. And so I think from that standpoint, there is like an argument to be made that like this was kind of inevitable. But the problem is that when Trump is the one who goes to war in that scenario, it's really fucking bad luck when he's the one who pulled us out of the JCPOA in the first place. And so if we had never done that, we wouldn't have been in the scenario to where we had to do this. But I do think there is somewhat of an argument to be made that in the scenario that he was in coming into office for this term, that he did kind of have to go put a lot of pressure on them in order to get another deal done whatsoever.
Get back into the deal that he ripped up.
I wanted to ask, Bam, you said the situation that would it be better if we made a deal and then just like said anything, right, to like, relieve tensions in the Strait of Hormuz and then go back on it? Like, would that be a better but like you were
Well,
asked,
yeah,
that was
like
your question,
if we
right?
if we blame the Gulf, like yeah, because I'm arguing like I have a big issue with the money as well. But I'm just like I was thinking if you want, like I said, I try to have a conversation from the honest perspective as possible. I don't think that we have any intentions of keeping this deal. I think we say whatever we can to get the straits open, but not just because we don't have, not just because of ourselves, because we don't have, like we didn't, like we don't. I don't think either side negotiated in good faith. I don't believe anyone believe that Iran has any intentions of maintaining any
I
strong
believe
nuclear deal and creating.
There's no reason to believe.
Wait,
not
why
believe,
wouldn't
because
they?
I mean, they
during
maintained
the
everything
JCPOA,
before.
They benefit
they
a
get
lot
literally
from this
everything.
deal.
They get everything from this deal. Why wouldn't they want to do that? Like,
Yeah,
look at
why wouldn't they?
sanctions of getting restitution of like
No,
for
that's not what the deal. That's not what the deal. The deal isn't just don't have a nuke. I know that's what we talk about, but the deal is also like I think they're talking about them signing onto the Abraham Accords, like becoming like a piece of the Middle East. Like I'm saying, I don't think that's what the 300 billion requires.
They are trying to westernize the country. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on, but sorry,
Well, a lot of
I don't
that
think-
is
I don't
getting
think that's
shelved
gonna
for
happen.
later
Sorry,
on.
hold
They're
on.
going to
Hezbollah, no
revisit a lot of
Houthis,
these
wait a minute.
conversations.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, sorry, did I miss something? Because like,
You might have missed the JD Vance press conference.
Okay, was this part of the negotiation that like they wouldn't support
Yes.
Hezbollah or
yeah, they wouldn't
like
support Hezbollah. They wouldn't
there's
support Houthis. They wouldn't support anything related to terrorism.
Yeah, so that's
Yes,
why it's not
all
happening.
stated from the
There's no
Trump
reason to think that would
administration.
happen. Yeah, there's no reason to think
Right, so that's
that
what
would
I'm saying.
happen.
That was
I'm guessing
the
they can
point. So that if you do any of that,
Hold on. But they also
Yeah.
that the U.S. can ask for
Well, that's-
unreasonable things, right? Like they were asking before, like because Israel said so, right? Zionist masters, they asked them before to dismantle their ballistic missiles, right? Like you can't even have conventional ballistic missiles. That's completely off the table. That was nonsense, right? Poison pill inserted by the Israelis, but like that's off the table now. So like you can ask for that part of the negotiations, but like the fact that they won't, the almost certainly won't accede to that doesn't mean they're not negotiating in good faith. Those are two different things.
no, I'm not talking about.
Well,
good
it's
faith.
also
I'm
kind
saying
of
that, like, if
ridiculous that they
that's
were-
the deal of getting the money. If you don't do that, then like all of it goes away, but the strait's still open. So, like, I think that's what they were.
Why would that be the
intending on.
case? Sorry,
That's what's the deal.
I'm very confused. Sorry, I'm very confused, Bam, because I'm maybe I'm missing a few things here, but I'm like very confused as to what you're saying. And like also, then I'm going to put something else on. I'll go to Rodell afterwards. I want to give him a chance to jump in. Like everyone's saying the money is bad. Why is the money bad? I don't think the money's. I honestly don't think the money is bad.
I
because
said
the
they
money
should get
is
400 or
supporting
half a
people
trillion
dying.
dollars in my
So-
including Americans.
24 million of 25 million of their money unfrozen. Okay, great.
Unfrozen
like that's their
assets.
money. They should be able to, their assets. They should have that available to them. It was stolen
Why?
by them from.
You can't freeze assets on terrorists. Why not? Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
They're not terrorists.
The whole
They're not-
country is there not a sovereign
they're not
country?
the whole country.
bro,
no,
bam,
no,
bam.
no,
Wait,
no,
wait,
Hezbollah and
and
Hamas
then-
are 100% terrorist orgs.
and
Like
then-
we're not.
it's
We're
funny
not
from
talking
the
about
top
Hezbollah,
down.
Hamas. We're talking about Iran. And even
Wow.
Hezbollah,
Wait,
hold on.
Iran crime.
No,
Hezbollah
Iran
and
is
Hezbollah
Hamas's number
and
one
Hezbollah
financier.
And Hezbollah and Hamas.
I mean, if that's the
both
case,
formed
Israel's a terrorist
to
org
fight
too,
the
so,
invaders of
You can
Israel.
argue
Yeah,
that.
like
That's
Israel
fine.
Yeah,
can
but
be
they're
invaders,
our
whatever.
terrorists. Okay.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, great. Well, as long as we, as
So
long
yeah,
as
this
we-
whole
right,
like just
right.
Listen, Trump,
terrorism doesn't mean anything.
understand
You
what
guys
you're
just throw that
saying.
word
All
around.
right, guys.
You're trying
No,
to
no,
have
no,
a
no. Hold on.
I'm
This
gonna
is
finish
fucking.
it.
This
Let
is
me
horseshit.
finish it.
This is
Let me
horseshit.
finish this.
So
Let me finish. No,
Israel
no,
can be guilty of fucking
One
doing like
second.
ethnic
Let me
cleansing
finish.
and
Let me
all that
finish.
bullshit, and
Let
people
me
can still be
finish,
terrorists.
Connor, I'm gonna finish. Thank you. Right.
Uh-huh.
Now I'd love to hear what everyone has to say. Right. So yes, 25 billion of their own assets, Iran's assets. I wasn't talking about Hezbollah or Hamas, right? Who are allowed to fight for their homelands. Yeah, absolutely.
Were they fighting for their homeland when they shot 900 civilians in the face?
Yeah, where it was.
Look,
Israel
I
fighting
watch
for its
Superman.
homeland,
Israel.
when it's-
They don't seem like terrorists to
what is it,
me.
Plans Gaza? No, actually,
Well, there was a big.
No. See, you're not
Well, you see
denying
the
what
civilians
Hamas
on
did.
one
You just
side
said
doesn't
Israel
counter
did
the-
bad
the-
shit
the-
too.
you're
That
blind
doesn't
to the
change
other
the
side, it's
calculus.
fine.
I am still going to finish my words here. And then $300
talk
billion
about
in restitution from the Gulf states. Actually, yes, maybe they should get more. Like this was a war of aggression from the U.S. and Israel, the Zionist masters, into their territory. They started this war. Iran came to the peace table, and then they blew up the peace table. Actually, and then they slaughtered the opening salvos of this war, right? They slaughtered a school full of children. What are you talking about? Yeah,
Well, that was
$300 billion
us, but...
yeah, Americans. Yeah, I mean, by they, I mean, yeah, they. Yeah,
honest mistake.
In any case, honest mistake, right? Yeah, but those kids are still dead. And this way, $300 billion actually seems cheap.
Okay, so
why I don't understand why this money is bad.
Well, hold on,
if that money said on it,
they think it's a terrorist regime. So
hold on, wait. I need an understanding.
Don't say
hold on,
that simple.
I need to
support terrorism.
So if we're saying,
what the fuck did you say to me?
I said if that money, you said, well, I don't understand why this fund is bad. I said if the fund said on it, this money is to kill Prime's mom, you would understand that. Like just because America did something, why
would it be to kill Prime's mom? Bam,
because
why are you saying dumb shit?
Because this is what the money is being used for. These money is being used
to
to
kill Prime's mom.
Yes,
to
do terrorism.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
including that. They would. You're an American.
Zionist? Yeah, what Zionist told you that?
I'm not talking about Israel.
What Zionist made you that?
They're
going to kill Prime's mom. Did you know that?
What other terrorism are you talking about?
They are talking. They're going to rape your daughter.
They do.
Oh
they
my
will
God,
kill Americans.
Wait, hold on. Are we saying that they're
crazy.
not killing Jews on purpose? What are we saying?
You
don't think that Israel has a valid concern to say that Iran is funding Hezbollah and Hamas and wants to kill Jews?
No, I don't actually. I stopped having that valid concern like a year ago.
It doesn't have the Israel is invading. Israel is literally invading Lebanon now, right? And then they get attacked, right? And then the Hezbollah are the terrorists that attack them when they're invading their territory. Right?
Okay, hold on. Wait.
Amazing.
Hold
don't have the right to self-defense when they're attacking
here. Hold on. Okay, so Bam, when he's saying that, like, he gave his rationale for why he agrees with the money. Obviously, I'm not happy that we're giving them anything, and obviously, if we take everything into context, the fact that we ever pulled out of the JCPOA in the first place is like the bigger problem here. But he's saying from the position that the Trump is in. Like from the position, he doesn't have the cards. From the point that he is,
Prime doesn't care about the cards. We can have all the cards. Prime is making a moral argument that they should be able to hurt us because we're bad people.
He just said, based on the fact that we pulled out of a deal, based on the fact that we were bombing them and doing all the shit, he is saying, from the
doesn't matter what we do first.
Everything that we just did.
Let Tom finish. Let Tom get it out.
Wait, but that's what I'm asking is based on the position that we're in. Like, yes, it's stupid that we're giving them money. But we're giving them money because Trump has put us in a position to where we don't have the cards. And so from that position, like you agree, we don't have much of an option here. We have to
yes, I said that in my opening, but that's not Prime's position. Prime doesn't care about the cards. We could have all the cards.
Yeah, he's saying it's good that we give them money.
Kill Americans. Like that's
what
he thinks they're owed it and they're honored it because we attacked them first and we're the bad guys.
That's why.
They're owed it.
That's a nice straw man. That's a good straw man.
It's a good straw man. I'm straw man.
Wait a minute. Let's actually look at that. Hold on. If you're saying Americans who have invaded their territory, well, of course they have the right to defend themselves, right? So if you're talking about soldiers, if they were invading, of course they'll be able to respond. We would say the same thing if someone invaded the United States. Obviously,
what do you mean
right?
murdering soldiers?
Like,
is that murder or killing?
Talking about that, but I'm not talking about like the bases that are firing.
I'm advocating for United States interests. My name is Black American Made.
Iran who are firing into Iran. Of course, they have the option to respond and fire back. Of course, right? But no, Prime is not like for killing Americans. Not killing his mom.
What about killing Israeli civilians?
That's not what it's advocating for.
What about Israeli civilians?
Shameless, stupid.
Fuck them.
Yeah, nice try.
Wait, Prime, I got a question for you.
Sure, man.
I got a question. So I'm genuinely curious because I try to ask all my questions in good faith.
Sure.
So are you concerned that, obviously putting all this power, because I pretty much agree that, we're in a situation where, of course, we're going to get a losing deal. I think we all agree to that. We're going to have a losing deal because Trump put us in a war that nobody asked for. With that said, are you concerned if we isolate Iran as a regime, are you concerned that giving them money or giving them some type of influence is something that is bad overall, especially considering like before a lot of this happened, there was a lot of inner turmoil between Iran's government and their people. And we also have like the weird kind of dynamic between obviously like the different factions of power in Iran. So do you really trust that after giving them the money, giving them enforcement to have this control over the strait, that this is something that is good?
Sorry, you're saying good, like good is doing a lot of work here. What do you mean
Based
by
on the
good?
circumstances?
Like good,
Like Iran getting $300 billion is
I don't
dope.
understand. Sorry,
So-
sorry, Riddell. I'm trying. Sorry, Riddell's asking me something. Riddell, like I don't understand what you mean by good. Could you explain?
Because it seems to
It
me
sounds like
when,
you want them to get the money one way or the other. That's what it sounds like. That's what
It,
everybody.
it does. It does.
You want
I
them to get the money
want to
one way or the
understand if like, is there a consideration that maybe you have like all these gripes with like U.S. and what they've done in the last couple of years, and of course your issues with Israel, but we're isolating the factor that is Iran. And do you understand the situation we're talking about is giving this regime and what they've done money in a vacuum, regardless of the U.S. and regardless of Israel, of the issues that I just outlined?
Yeah, we're not in a vacuum though, right? Like Iran and it's all of Israel's neighbors have been attacked this entire time, right? So it's not within a vacuum. America.
Wait, who attacked all of Israel's neighbors?
Israel attacked its neighbors. I don't. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
no, Iran attacked all the Gulf states.
Israel has been at war with almost all of them. What are you talking about? Anyway,
Yeah,
But
not recently. During the Iran conflict, it's been Iran that bombed all the Gulf
say all of
states.
them was recently. Lebanon is happening now. Lebanon happened 20 years ago. Gaza has
West
happening
Bank
now. Gaza
still
happened
That's not the
10
Gulf
years ago,
states.
20 years ago. Yes, hold on. But I said all of its neighbors. I didn't say Gulf states. I said all.
Well,
of its
Saudi
neighbors.
Arabia
I
is
said,
one of
hold on,
their neighbors.
hold on,
Egypt
hold on.
is one of
Wait a
their
minute,
neighbors.
wait a
They
minute.
have not
I said all
attacked
of its
Egypt
neighbors.
recently.
Hold on.
They
I
have
said
not
all of its
attacked
neighbors.
Saudi Arabia recently. Iran attacked Saudi Arabia, Oman,
He means
Qatar.
the ones that Israel.
I mean,
does. He's
Israel
only talking
attacked
about Israel. You have
Qatar
to bring it back to
as
Israel.
well. So I mean,
I know, but I'm making the point that you're saying that Israel is the instigating antagonist. Well, what happened
Yes,
within
it
the
is.
past year? Yeah, Iran bombed all of their fucking neighbors, including all of the Gulf states.
They attacked.
I mean, yeah, because they
Israel
got attacked.
The
obviously.
Gulf states didn't do shit.
They
The Gulf
allied.
states
They're
don't do
allied.
shit.
They
They're
don't counterpoint
allied.
that. They actually probably did, by the
They're
way.
allied, right?
They
They're our
did.
allies. That's how
Right.
it happens.
So
That's
don't
what-
you think
that's
they
what
should have hit
works.
the
No,
military
I got
installations
this.
instead of random
No,
Gulf
they-
state
no,
hotels?
I mean, that's
Hold on. They have military installations
Man.
on their territory, and they have to allow the United States to use them to fire on Iran. Of course, yes.
But what was
yes,
the
we
point of
attacked
blowing
back
up random hotels and airports instead of the military installations?
I know. I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly.
Maybe
why.
like they're
I'll
assholes.
tell you exactly.
that's what
why,
Israel does,
Connor.
so it's kind of just a tit for
Connor,
tat.
no, don't answer
No?
for me because I have the answer.
I wasn't answering for you.
Please. The reason why is because we well, there's two reasons why. One is to just like attack their tourism, right? But the second reason is because we actually were putting troops into those hotels. We took troops out of the bases and put them in there, which is like a war crime. It's against the rules of war.
Hamas
Do they
run
know?
Hamas
We
run hospitals,
put that
baby.
in.
Hamas run
Sorry.
hospitals.
We put like military troops in civilian infrastructure.
Did we actually do
to hide
that?
them. That's do I have a source you're asking? I'll show you a source.
No, I'm looking it up right now. I've heard this before.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
it's.
so-
I mean, when Al Udeid got hit, there were
Oh, yeah, we
American
did.
service personnel who were told to go to the hotels.
Oh my
But
God.
I think it's
So,
borderline
you guys are using
laughable
human
to think
shields?
that-
I was
I
correct.
think
Using human
I think it's
shields?
borderline laughable
Yeah.
to think that a Shahed
Are Americans using human
knows
shields?
which
What's
room
going
the
on?
troops
No, the
are
Americans
staying
were
in.
using human shields.
I think that's pretty
The
fucking
Americans-
funny.
Americans using human shields
The
is
Americans,
crazy.
yes, the Americans leaving all of the bases and going and staying in like hotels.
Only like
apartment buildings, even
300
office
fucking
buildings.
people went into the fucking hotels. There's still 10,000 people at Alu.
It's a lot of people. 300 people is a lot of
There's
people.
one
You're doing
Hamas-
it.
That's a
That's-
lot of
There's
people.
still
There's
10,000 1,000
not.
out UAE. Why are they
Only is
hitting
doing a
out
lot.
UAE?
Only is doing a lot of listening.
right
Only is doing.
there.
There was only one Hamas guy in the houses and in the hospitals when we completely eviscerated Gaza. You know, there was one Hamas guy. That means we have to eviscerate the building. Listen,
but
these are your
this isn't like
standards.
blowing up
These
a
are your
hospital that has
standards. These are
Hamas
your
in it.
standards.
This is
These
like
are your
blowing up
standards. These
a
are your
building
standards.
next to the
These are
fucking
your
building that has
standards.
Hamas in
These
it.
are your standards. There was a military
that's
guy.
my
It's
standard.
your standards. Your standards.
Probably
your
not
standards.
appropriate to minimize.
Saying it's only
human
300
lives.
people doesn't really matter all that much when the Trump administration is the one who started the war in the first place and had no plan to bring any of these people out of the fucking bases. Like, it was still on them, and they did end up using all of these Gulf state civilians as human shields. Like, they did do it. It's not like when you keep comparing like, oh well, they did more. Like, sure, but the Trump administration definitely put all these people into a
9,700
situation where they
troops
didn't
are
know much
right
which
there
way.
for Iran to ballistic missile, and they don't because they kind of
Well, hold
can't.
on.
But that's like a technological limit.
Okay, a
So
couple
they
things.
can't. So now you know why they hit
Right.
the other structures.
Sure.
Let's let our
Yeah.
So they because they can't hit valid military targets, they should hit civilians. Awesome argumentation.
Listen, man,
I
if
love
you're
it.
coming from my argument, my like in Lebanon, the civilian buildings are getting hit left and right, and no, I don't see you the same contention
Yeah.
there. So I'm not gonna have the same
Yeah,
contention
wait.
back,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's really that fucking simple.
Literally flattening Lebanese villages.
All the rage
well,
goes
they-
to
okay,
one side. All
I'm
the
not
rage goes
busy
to one
sleeping
side.
for Israel right now. I'll do that
Oh,
later.
okay.
No. Hold on, wait. It's not about the sweep for Israel. It's about the rage that goes to one side, but then not the rage that goes to the other. When the terrorists do something, oh my God, we have to look at it in such a microscope. But then when the countries do something, it's like, listen, it's just. Listen, man.
Because they
this-
videotape
yeah.
themselves shooting people in the back of the fucking face. That's
Uh,
why.
We have
okay.
endless fucking videotapes of by IDF soldiers of doing endless war crimes. That's what all TikTok was for the last fucking 3 years. Unbelievable.
To be clear, it's mostly the
Let's
aftermath of airstrikes, but yes, blowing up 80% of buildings inside Gaza was pretty fucked up.
And what they're
Well,
doing
and
in the
they
West
blew
Bank,
up
and what they're doing in South Lebanon.
to go after some of the
Never mind. We're
scientists
just
who were part of the.
Okay, I thought
we're talking
about
Iran.
Yeah, I think a lot of us agree. Israel
Guys,
bad.
we're gonna let
Israel bad,
Lactoid in. Lactoid's
sure.
been waiting patiently,
Okay.
please.
So 2 points. I'm going to address what's currently being talked about, but I also want to go back. I read the article, Tom, that you sent, and thank you for sending that. I do have some contentions with it. The professor. So this was about 2 weeks following the start. There was a Harvard professor who stated that this could cost up to $1 trillion, and then she cites numbers that now the Pentagon isn't even asking for. So she cites the part of it due to the initial $200 billion that has since been reduced as of June to 80, and the estimates as to personnel cost and other munitions just haven't seemed to borne fruit, or haven't
Wait, did
seemed
you
to
say
play out.
8 billion?
80.
80.
80.
Oh, 80.
Yeah. 80.
Yeah,
I'm willing to admit that the cost of taxpayers here is probably going to be in the realm of $100 billion.
I was gonna
That's
say
my-
minimum I've seen is 100. That's
100 billion. Yeah. So it's with it, but that's the rearmament is 80 billion. But I'm also factoring in things like for the wounded troops, things like veteran services, et cetera, and that's going to cost money, right? So
yeah, I was saying those are the
um,
higher ends of the estimates. Like I
Well,
understand that.
but
like,
the reason
lower
why-
ends are about 100 billion.
but I'm not trying to quibble about this point just to like quibble or like do a gotcha or whatever. I think it's important to I guess I talk shit about this deal. Don't get me wrong, but I also just want to make sure that the numbers that are being presented, I don't want people to think that this is going to cost the U.S. taxpayers like trillions of dollars, which some people have been telling me that this is going to cost everything.
Oh,
I
trillions
think-
with an
yeah,
S.
I think
that is a little insane.
Well,
from what I've seen,
billions
like
is still
hundreds.
not something that.
Oh,
taxpayers
it's
will be okay
terrible.
with
It's
either.
terrible. Look, I'm
Yeah,
against
so-
it, right? I'm against it. I think 100 billion is bad. To what Prime said though about I guess I didn't even know this, and I just looked it up, and it's true. Yeah, our troops were leaving the bases and going to civilian hotels. Yeah, man. I mean, that's.
And
I think
office
I think there is a good point to say, look, you blame Hamas when they take refuge in hospitals, which is blameworthy. I mean, that's perfidy. You're not allowed to do that, right? But then how can you blame, but then all of a sudden, like, you would blame Iran for targeting hotels when our troops are in them? There's an argument there for sure. I will say though, although the Gulf states did participate, I know Bahrain, for example, I think it came out later that they actually fired a few missiles. I do think that the initial wave of attacks against the Gulf states, I think even like Iran pulled that back because they sort of tacitly admitted that it was aggression towards, I guess, what they saw as the wrong actor, right? I mean, because they launched the initial strikes, and then the Gulf states were like, "What the fuck? You know, we're not involved in this." And then Iran said, "Look, we're not going to strike you anymore. We're just going to strike Israeli and U.S. targets." Isn't that sort of an admission? Well, sure, right. Okay.
Well,
fair enough.
So you're correct that it's sort of an admission. The problem is that they had conflicting statements about this, because even when the president came out and said, yes, we're sorry, we're not going to do it anymore, they did continue doing it. And others were like, no, we are going to continue doing it. But I think we all should agree that, like, yes, it's obviously bad for them to be striking a bunch of countries that are not participating in the war. But it is also true that, like, when it comes to leverage for Iran, they were put in a situation where they just didn't have a whole lot of options. When Israel has the dome, they're not going to fire missiles into the United States, and so the only way that they can put pressure on the United States is to get their own allies to be upset.
I need to clarify one more thing with you, Prime. Can I clarify something with you? And then, so I've heard you say statements before, and I've heard you argue right now. I just want to make sure here. So I think it's undeniable that Hezbollah and Hamas get funding and direction from Iran, the RGC. I think that is undeniable.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, okay, so when Bam before he's like, this is, you unfreeze these assets, this is going to go to terrorism.
To kill my mom.
To kill your mom, I think that was hyperbolic, right? But I mean, it's not
dumb. It was stupid. It was a dumb fucking thing to say.
It was American.
I wouldn't have said it, okay, but it was.
You're not dumb. Go ahead.
I like Bam. Bam's a smart guy. But I think that what he's saying is, look, you unfreeze these assets. Some percentage of them are probably going to go into the pockets of Hamas. They're probably going to go into recruitment efforts, into weapons, into rockets. They're going to go into funding the organizations that did the attacks on October 7th, that participated in this kind of warfare. I mean, I think that's a valid concern. Like, although I'm happy that we're not paying the $300 billion and that, you know, it's not taxpayer money on the unfrozen assets, I'm not a fan of Iran getting $300 billion or getting $25 million in unfrozen assets, because some significant chunk of that probably is going to go to the Houthis, Hamas, or Hezbollah, which aren't the best organizations.
Do you want me to respond?
Not even just that. Wait, before you respond, add in. I'm going to add another done statement to add in. It also.
What about Israel?
It also goes towards their towards the larger plan, the larger nuclear plan. If you have an issue with the nuclear issue, we know what Iran's actual plan is. It's not, they're not going to sneak a nuke past you. They're going to arm up on the ballistic missiles to a point that they become such a big threat that they can fire off enough military power that we can't actually get back in. Then if they do get back air superiority from having tons and tons of ballistic missiles, then it's the same thing. Then they can work on a nuke in peace, and they do have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Okay. So
like this money would also go towards that.
Yeah, sure. I can respond to both of those things, one after another. One, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, right, are the only organizations in those areas, those specific areas, right, that are actually fighting against like aggression to their territory, right? Like Hezbollah, like formed because Israel, right, the Zionist, disgusting, parasitic state, right, attacked into Lebanon. And like occupied, yeah, whatever. Trust me, that will never work on me, right? In fact, it makes me double down. Fucking parasitic Israel, occupied southern Lebanon, right, for a certain number of years. And
it's not me, Mossad.
Like,
it's not me.
Yeah, Hezbollah. Yeah, sorry, Hamas. Yeah, sorry, not that's Mossad. Sorry, Mossad. It's me. I did it, right? Not Lactoid.
You're not a real man unless you die by Mossad.
Yeah, pay Connor, right, for saying your talking points, right? Then strike me for talking back against you. Okay, so anyway, they formed as a response to parasitic Israeli aggression. Right, that's what that happened. Hamas formed in response to Israeli aggression. Right, the Houthis. What do they do?
No one cares how they form. What do they do? And then when we say, "What does Israel do?" You go, "Well, this isn't about Israel."
Yeah, apparently.
No, I just don't want to talk about Israel.
I mean, this
Oh,
is
okay.
about
Let's talk
Israel.
about the fact
Yeah,
that-
it's
no, this is
it's
about
a
Americans
war
being killed
started by
Iranians.
Israel. It's
I
going
don't
to be
care
part of the
how
conversation.
American is
Don't worry.
being
I
killed
want to
Anyway,
talk about
hey,
the
Bam.
the
Hey,
outcomes
Bam,
and the
I don't
interest
care.
of
Hey,
Americans.
Bam, let me understand you. I'm running this shit, okay? Right? We're going to talk about what the fuck I want to talk about. And
I'm
part
gonna
of this
complain.
conversation is Israel.
Israel's
So if
bad.
you don't want to talk about it, you can leave.
No, I'm
Feel
going to
free
stay
do
here
that,
and complain.
But we're going to be
I'm gonna stay
talking
here
about
the entire time
Israel.
and make you feel bad.
Thank you.
Continue
I'm
to
talking about
complain.
great.
I'm a
Whatever.
complainer.
Anyway, Troy, back to talking about Israel. Israel has invaded those two territories. I don't know, not sure about the history of the Houthis. I'm not exactly sure of that, so I'll leave that alone. But in any case, right? Yeah, they were fighting Western aggression. Obama funded a years-long bombing campaign into Yemen. Yes, excuse me, Yemen, right? Where by Saudi Arabia, they basically did what they did with Israel years later, right? So like they gave them the money to do the attacking, right? So they gave Saudi Arabia money so they could start this terrible bombing campaign across Yemen. So many people were killed. So we don't discuss it, right? And then we later on in the Trump administration, we assassinated the Yemenis leadership, right? Constant aggression. So you're saying what happens if some of that money gets in the hands of people who have actually are defending their people, like some organizations that are defending their people? Yeah, I'm okay with it. I won't lose any sleep over those people defending themselves, right, from U.S. imperialism. I know you understand this, Lactoid, right, about me, but I'll restate it. I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm deeply anti-imperialist,
Anti-American.
right? And I want to, and my preferred way of demolishing imperialism is here at home, right? To demolishing the taking apart the institutions that enacted, taking apart the incentives, right? Like reforming our political system so it works for us. So we're not making war somewhere else. We're not spending American taxpayer money, right? Something we can reach across, right? We're not spending American taxpayer money on like needless wars, right? That we maybe work through diplomacy, like a reasonable, non-barbaric country. That's my my preferred way of handling it. But like on the other side of it, I can't tell other people not to defend themselves, from slaughter, from American.
Can you tell them not to shoot women and children in the face?
Slaughter. Parasitic Israeli slaughter, right?
Oh,
they have
Prime,
to be able
do you
to
feel?
Can
Tell your allies to stop bombing women and children. Tell your allies to stop bombing women and children. Tell your allies to stop bombing women and children before you start.
Okay, Israel, stop bombing women and children. That way the Muslims will stop shooting women and children in the face.
There we go.
You'll never
Just have the same energy, Connor. Just have the same energy.
You'll never hear me defending the
just real
Israeli government. But my only thing here, Prime, is with everything that you're saying here, it does the assumption, the perception I'm getting from you is that you're like excusing Iran's actions. And I'm kind of concerned about that. So
I'm not excusing anything.
And that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. When it comes down to it, Prime, and we're going to have this conversation about giving money to the Iran government, and we're talking about, people getting ostracized or oppressed by their regime. Are you concerned about the Iran's regime towards their people?
Yes, but like I'm not pro IRGC. I'm not pro Iran or Iran theocracy. I'm not pro any of them. Yeah, fuck them. Fuck the
but they're the
right?
government are going
they
to
need
be the
democracy. We should bring back their king. That's what we should do.
Yes.
I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that.
Democracy.
All over again, please.
Sorry, no, the thing I'm worried about, right? I'm worried about the parasitic, right, government of Israel. I'm worried about the government that's been attacking their neighbors this entire time. I've been the one worried about the one that's been setting that region on fire for decades. That's what I'm worried about. No, do I want the Ayatollahs to be overthrown or whatever, right? Would I like a new government to come in? Absolutely. In Iran, absolutely. Write it down. Prime wants them to disappear, right? But
Hold on, real quick.
I'm going to answer the question. Hold on, I'm gonna finish
He's
But we've
willing
tried
to
this
say-
before.
But-
It doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's not going to
As long as they're
happen
willing
by
to kill the prophet.
American hands, right? It has to happen by
I do
Iranian
real
hands.
quick follow up
Sorry,
after this.
Just one more bomb. man.
Iranian-
Just one more.
I don't want to follow up real quick. I want to follow up real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just one more
So,
coup.
The only
one more.
reason why I'm going down this line of questioning
Yeah.
is because you got to understand people's concerns when it comes down to funding Iran. And I hear this argumentation from people that are leftists all the time that our biggest issue with Israel is because we're supporting Israel. In this situation, we would be giving money to Iran, which is a regime that you have issues with. And recently in 2025, there's a lot of bad shit that they're doing. So can you understand why people would have the same type of concern giving money to a regime
Oh my
that people
God.
think is very
Riddell.
bad, just like how you think about Israel?
Riddell, right?
Yes,
Sorry, I
heard you.
Sorry, hold on, let me calm down. You've been great, right? Fuck Bam.
He's new here. Be nice.
Riddell. I'm not going to give you the energy. I'm not going to give you the energy. You've been
All
great.
right.
Yet. Give it a couple more panels.
Not yet. Everyone gets the energy eventually. Even my man Connor, who I like a lot, right? Everyone gets the energy eventually. But anyway, so it's not about like me liking governments, right? Or thinking that they're good, right? Governments are, right? I think that the American government has an ocean of blood on its hands, right? But do I want the American government to fall necessarily? No, I'm not advocating for the American. Other friends, other people I know,
Just the soldiers
are advocating for that. No, I'm not doing that, right? Like I understand. Like again, there are governments that are good and they're bad, right? But like that is outside of the question. We're talking about how can people. Are people allowed to defend themselves, right? And should they be made whole after they're being attacked? We attacked them at a war of aggression, an illegal war of aggression. Yeah, actually, they should get that money back. If we didn't want to give them that money, we shouldn't have attacked them. That was the problem. That's the problem.
That's the problem. That you're saying that. I understand you're having this conversation from again this more perspective of like whatever you want to do. I'm having this perspective as an American citizen, an American patriot with an American interest. Even if I acknowledge everything related to this deal is bad, even if I acknowledge that we never should have went over there, I still want the United States to come out on the better end of it, and you don't. You want American soldiers. You say because they're over there.
Wait, no, but that's
Bam,
that's ridiculous because you have to actually consider what it is that like the United States ought to do in scenarios. You want to consider how the United States looks.
Yes,
on
I
the
would want them to
stage,
act in better ways, but I don't want the United States to be.
But when they don't, you should want to hold them.
You have to consider. You have to consider like what it is that we are supposed to represent.
Because they happen to be sent over to a base. They happen to be in the
which is the accountability of the government for the action. Hold the government accountable for that action.
We did not go to war over any of this other shit. You guys, it's okay. Iran can be bad. We didn't go to war over Iran bad. We didn't go to a war over the fact that they kill their civilians. We didn't go to war over any of this.
I hadn't brought that up. I'm just talking about
war.
Citizens not being.
Why did we go to war?
So the point, though, the problem is that the problem is that if we do attack people, we have we should represent American values. We should be a country that has that is able to act the way that we would expect other countries to act when they do something like this as well. And that is the expectation here, is that just because we don't like this other country doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing the right thing in this scenario. But I want to take it back because you were talking about earlier that like Iran's just going to try to come around and find a way to make a nuke anyways. Do you think they're actually trying to build a nuke?
Yeah, for sure. There's not a country on earth that doesn't want a nuke.
Well, probably now they are. It's in their best interest now to build it.
If they were trying to
they're more incentivized.
Approximately enrich fucking uranium, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. They enriched up to 60% because it's easier to enrich from 60 to fucking 90, and then at fucking 90 and change, you can get into a fucking nuclear bomb.
When did they start enriching? When did they start enriching?
After the JCPOA was shredded because Donald Trump's a fucking idiot. That doesn't change what I said.
I mean, okay, but you make it seem no wait, real quick. You make it seem like it's some nefarious action that when when there was a government that was complying with the U.S., another president comes in, rips in the contract that they were complying with, well then yeah, it's not nefarious that they started. They have no idea what the fuck's going on. They have no idea if they're going to get bombed. They watch other countries around them do this that had the same exact thing happen to them, get absolutely fucked. So yeah, it's not a nefarious action, but the way that you paint it in the narrative, it's like they're rich to 60%. They want a nuclear bomb so they can throw it at America. That's not the fucking case. That's not the fucking case.
That's not what I'm saying. They want a nuclear bomb so they can become a kingdom that is you can't.
Maybe like the people around them. Maybe like their adversaries. Maybe like their adversaries who have the nuclear bombs. You guys don't care about their non-proliferation. You don't care if Israel has the bombs. That's kind of the issue.
Okay, so there's an argument to be made. There's an argument to be made.
Hold on.
To listen to everybody else, I've been sitting here patiently for minutes killing aliens.
We will let Tom finish, and then we're going to go to counterpoints. He's been waiting. I know he wants to jump in.
So
then I'm after counterpoint.
Uranium to 60%, but then they sat there. They sat on it for 5 fucking years. They could have enriched it from 60% a lot quicker, but they didn't. They sat on it for 5 years. It seems as though the only reason that they enriched the uranium in the first place is because Trump pulled out of the JCPOA. They needed some leverage in order to get us into a new deal. But if they wanted a bomb, they would have had a bomb already, and then there would be no deal to be made. Like we would just be fucked.
I don't agree.
They would have already had it. How? Okay.
And the explanation of
because fucking
explanation.
We have literally been sabotaging their nuclear program for decades.
We have been.
No, I don't.
And then there was Midnight Hammer. I don't think you can say they would have had a bomb already.
I'm not disagreeing that they would
sorry.
I'm
Stuxnet and Midnight Hammer point to the fact that they actually would have developed shit if they could.
So I'm disagreeing that they are better off in getting back into a deal than they would be building a bomb. They get better deals. They have better standards. If all they do is just build a bomb, they don't get all their sanctions released. They don't get.
But you would agree that they are more hesitant to get in a deal with America because of what happened in the last couple of years, though.
Yes, well, that's why there was.
I can acknowledge a state.
That's why it was so hard for Biden.
Do you think it's like rational for Nazi Germany to fight in the defense of its own country while it's getting its shit kicked in by the Allies? I can simultaneously recognize the rational actions of a state and still think that state needs to be overthrown. What I wanted to articulate to fucking Ali is, as an example, like the Sudanese Civil War, 500,000 fucking dead Muslims. Nobody gives a fuck about that. The Syrian Civil War, 500,000 dead fucking Muslims. Nobody gives a fuck about that. Yeah. Okay. So hold on.
Why? Why don't people give a fuck? Why don't people give a fuck about that? Why?
Please, let me.
I want to see him red.
So what I would say is that I don't like the Iranian regime, and I think that the Iranian people deserve a better fucking government. So I would like for them to be overthrown. If you're casual about them getting a nuke, then what they're going to become is North Korea, where you can't overthrow the fucking government, because if you do, you're risking the entire planet.
Connor, didn't we try to overthrow the government already? And then that's how we got this IRGC thing, right? They voted people, and then we instilled a Shah. Like you want to overthrow them. I get it. You want to rule the world, but like it just doesn't work. We don't understand the Middle East. We don't understand the Middle East in the way that you want.
One more.
Western Europe.
One more.
South Korea.
To what? The Middle East is different. The Middle East.
One more.
You guys keep trying in the Middle East, and it doesn't fucking work. And then you lose trillions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of people, and then we cry. And then you have Bam over here. It's like, oh no, the Prime wants the soldiers dead. No.
Well, maybe you should have been born on top of over there oil, and then it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have this problem.
Just give us what we want.
I think
that's why we need them
in terms of
green energy.
In terms of a broader conversation in the Middle East, I just think there's no argument here, right? Iraq was a disaster. Afghanistan was a disaster. Syria was like. We sort of won. I mean, Bashar is gone, but the people that are in charge, people that are in charge are like former Al Qaeda affiliates.
Thank God we're against the Shia theocracy. We're allied with the Sunni theocracy.
They're really nice.
They were kings and queens.
Massacre the Alawites.
Slavery over there. The fuck out of here, man.
Saudi Arabia and Iran aren't that different to me.
Fuck the Saudis.
But like Saudi Arabia's on our side. That's what I'm saying. Like
they sell us oil. That's why we put up with their bullshit.
Well, I wanted to say one thing about that.
9/11, they're on our side.
I wanted to say one thing about that, Connor. You brought up, I think you said what you say. what was it? Oil and what else you say was the reason for going to Iran? Oil and
well, I mean, no, the Middle East and North Africa, all of our intrigues in the Middle East and North Africa, I cannot understand anybody arguing that it's not about petroleum.
Earlier in this conversation, like somebody said like what Iran was about, and you said it was oil and something else. But I don't remember
oil and nukes.
Oil and nukes. That's what you said. That's correct.
Yeah.
I think nukes is probably a pretty like strong interest that the U.S. has. You know, we don't want our enemies to get nukes. We also didn't want the North Koreans to get nukes, and then when they got them, and they were like, oh fuck, well, I guess we're just kind of done with that one, because Seoul is right there. But
right.
I think there's another element here. I mean, am I crazy? Like, Israel was the one who made the decision? Sure, Israel was the one who made the decision to like launch the strike, and
don't bring up Israel.
Like isn't this sort of right? But isn't like because they keep bringing up Israel, but I think like in this conversation, Israel might actually be like a pretty relevant thing to bring up if they did bring us into this whole conflict, because that's not very cool. And then now that Trump's like trying to get us out of it, trying to get us out of it, right? Like we have
they're all flipping on them.
Polling on Trump has shifted from like 71% down to like 71% don't trust him anymore when it comes to the Middle East. I mean, I don't know.
Got off Israel.
It feels a little bit. I got to bring it back. It gets people hyped. It gets people hyped up.
Without having.
Wait. So what? Sorry. What's the point that you're trying to make, though?
I guess the point I'm trying to make is like. I think that we can look at this and we can say, look, the U.S. has an interest in like, I guess, global supply chains with the oil that flows into China. Sure, you know, we like economy, go up. That's good. Line go up. Very important. I don't disagree. We don't want our enemies to have nukes or to fund terror operations. That's great. I agree with that. But I think another serious element of this is like, honestly, we have this ally in the Middle East that apparently is making decisions that are kind of getting us in a little bit of hot water. Like, aren't they currently refusing to like work with us when it comes to Lebanon, which is causing issues with the peace agreement? Like, at what point?
That whole ethnic cleansing in southern Lebanon thing is not cool.
Yeah, at what point do we say? Cool. At what point? Like, here, I'll put a question mark. At what point are we going to have the guts? For the civilians at what point? At what point are we going to have the guts to say, look, you do what we say here, or you're not getting another dime? Like stop fucking us up in Lebanon.
I think now
we're not getting any money.
Now, hold on, I'm answering his question. I think if we were a moral people and we didn't have this whole like 6 million Jews who live in the United States and like 7 million who live in Israel, and then like a very vocal, a very vocal lobby. If we were like a truly moral people, I would say now. Like southern Lebanon should not be annexed. The West Bank should not be annexed.
Because I'll be honest, that's where I'm at. I would be okay with cutting off all aid at this point.
Yeah. Well, but here's the problem. Hold on. This is very important. This is very important for the conversation. So we currently do have like deep intelligence ties, deep military ties, deep this, deep that. But the actual money that we give them is only $4 billion a year. And if you look at the entirety of the Israeli like GDP, it's only about like 2 or 3% of their GDP. And so as a result, we could actually just stop giving Israel $0 from here on out. $0 fucking dollars. And I do not know if that would actually change them.
Wait, that's not all we give them, though. That's not all we give them, though.
That's not all. No, Ali's right. That's not all.
That's not all we give them.
We also give them Iranian wars.
The annual guarantee.
We also go to war for them when they
$4 billion.
Yeah, I know, but if they beg enough for it, we go to war for them too. So it's like stop minimizing what we give them and like just the aid. It's everything that goes along with being the ally to this country, as in we go to war for them all the fucking time.
Well, but I don't think that changes what I said though, which is if we were like a more moral people, we would be turning off the spigot now.
We just decouple with them, right?
Yes, exactly. We would
decouple probably not, because like we don't want the Holocaust 2.0, the reverse Nakba 2.0.
No. We turn it on if that's about to happen. I would agree with that.
Sure.
If it looks like the Holocaust 2 is going to happen, okay, we got to get involved.
Right? The current ethnic cleansing is happening, and no one wants to give a fuck about that.
No. Hold on. I'm saying cut off the money now, and hey, you got to stop all this crazy shit. Otherwise, it's going to stop.
But what counter saying is like, what counter saying is we can't decouple with them because we don't want the Holocaust to happen. Meanwhile, literal ethnic cleansing is happening. I won't say genocide because I know how everyone feels about that word, but a literal ethnic cleansing has been happening. I know you will, but they won't agree. Then we argue over the word.
You don't have to do me.
But no one says anything about that right now, Connor. You've been.
No, we do say stuff about it.
No. You've been screeching about the civilians. You've been screeching about the civilians in Israel that died. But the second we talked about southern Lebanon, well, yeah, it's not cool what's happening in southern Lebanon. No, well, where's the energy about the civilians dying?
He did call it ethnic cleansing.
To my knowledge,
I heard him say that.
They have mass deported 600,000 people. But what are the casualty stats in southern Lebanon?
I'm sorry, do like when people have their homes destroyed and they have nothing to go back to and their livelihood, the sicknesses and the things that come.
That's
just because there wasn't an immediate death from the bomb.
So do you?
Just because there wasn't an immediate death from the bomb. I don't know how many deaths there were. I kind of stopped counting
how many people have died in southern Lebanon right now.
No, I don't know the total death count. But I'd probably say it's in the thousands. Probably saying this in thousands.
Shut the fuck up.
Let's take a look.
Are they called Lebanoners? What's the plural?
Lebanese.
Yeah.
Lesbians.
Fucking piece
In regards to the taking away, I think a lot of us agree that Israel is being unhinged and we should stop with the aid. And I do think we are in an interesting situation.
More than 4,000 people have been killed.
Okay,
there you go. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking people.
I think we are in an interesting situation where more and more people are being like antagonistic to Israel, of course, and even on the right, the support for Israel is waning because like Israel is causing us to go into foreign conflicts now and then. But I'm kind of conspiracy brain that one of the biggest reasons why Trump will do anything Netanyahu wants is because he wants to build Las Vegas and Gaza. Like that's what I think. I think he wants to build Las Vegas
and the Epstein
Gaza.
files, but yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean,
I'm not as conspiracy.
Oh, come on.
Stuff, but not as much. Not as much.
The dude was banging teenagers in the 80s and 90s. What do you want from me?
This has been the U.S. policy for decades. Come on, this is
but in this situation, we know for a fact.
Hold on. But you were just arguing a second ago that we should return to our 1960s position, which I think was effectively LBJ. Where Nixon, or excuse me, JFK actually was not super friendly with Israel. That's why there's conspiracy theories about his murder being related to the Israelis. But
that one ship that was attacked or whatever.
But the point there being that like LBJ was friendly and did provide aid, but we were nowhere near as entrenched as we are right now. So like it sounds to me like you want to go back to the 60s. So for instance, like Golden Meir. Hold on. This is an important historical anecdote. Golden Meir allegedly called some president. I forget who it was. It might have been Nixon. And she said, "Hey, we're losing this war right now." I think it was 67. We're losing this war right now, and if you don't come bail us out with like an ammo resupply, we're going to use tactical nukes along our border. That's the kind of like strategic ambiguity, or not strategic ambiguity, but strategic backup that I would be willing to provide is like we could help out Israel with defensive wars, but we're not helping them with offensive bullshit anymore.
Well, hold on a second. So
helping them with their defense is helping them with their offense.
I just want to make sure my point wasn't lost. I don't disagree that like the U.S. foreign policy has been pro-Israel as of late, and especially within the past like 10, 15 years. I think that's undeniable. I just expressed some skepticism that like this is all because Bibi has like dirt on Trump with the Epstein files.
No. We're still without that. We're still an incredibly Zionist country.
I just want to be
sure. Like one of the points that's always brought up that I don't find it like compelling because everybody already knows it, but I do think it's an interesting factoid. It's like arguably there are more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists.
Yeah.
Because the Christians have been given this narrative since World War II. It's like, Israel's got to exist. It's got to exist, or Holocaust 2.0.
That is changing.
A minute ago, Riddell was saying that like a Republican support for Israel is waning, but it's not real. Like if from 2025, it was in 80%. 80% were still in support of like sending aid to Israel.
And a lot is happening.
It's less. It's a lot less now.
The people, yes, but the senators and congressmen, no, they're kind of bought out. But like the people, the voters, their opinions have shifted, but the people in government, their opinions haven't shifted. No,
well, no. Again,
the reason why that matters is because of the upcoming midterm elections.
It's,
No
it's
one
like
is
going to
worried
like
about
80% to 70%, and it's not bought out, dude. They just like the norms for like the majority of Congress has been that they support Israel, and most of these people got elected during a period where they
And they're
were
heavily
like,
funded by
saying that they
AIPAC,
were pro.
and they're
So-
heavily
sure, but
funded
that's
by
not
all
relevant.
these groups to
I don't-
win.
I don't- I don't
Why is that
think
not
it's
relevant? How is that
relevant.
not relevant?
And they're religious zealots.
No,
It's not.
I'm going to
They have a
I'm going to like
foreign
try to split the
PAC
difference
paying
here,
and
and I'm
winning
going to
your
say
Senate
it's
and
not
Congress, and that's not
straight money.
relevant.
It's not straight money. We have all been narrativized with the post World War II narrative that fucking Israel is one of the safe harbors for Jews on the planet, and that it needs to exist that way the Holocaust doesn't happen again. That
Well, it's not
that's
even. I don't
been
even
a
think it's
narrative.
Yeah,
that,
but
we
like
have
the-
the
So why do we
the
have
big-
to? Why do we have to front that bill? Why
But-
don't the Germans front that bill?
It's easy. To
Why are
convince
we
Christians
fronting that
to
bill?
protect
Okay, it's
Jesus'
young.
and
It's
I mean-
young. It's young Republicans.
Because
who's-
70 fucking percent of fucking Republicans,
But my
80%
grandmother has
even
a
last
"We
year,
protect
and the
Israel,
majority
support
of Democrats
Israel"
up until the
sign in New York
last
right
like
now.
10 years have been
As
in
a-
favor of
No,
Israel.
it's
The
down- hold on, it's down
majority
quite a
of
bit.
Americans were in favor of this
Well,
shit.
yeah,
Why are you
I
acting
wanna
like
go
I thought it was down to like a
but
third of
instead-
Democrats.
No,
Yes.
I just put this is from Pew. So as of March of 2026, 41% of Republicans have an unfavorable position on Israel. 57% of Republicans ages 18 to 49. Most
Yeah, it's that whole
Repu-
ethnic cleansing thing.
Most Republicans that are below the age of 49, at 57%, have a negative opinion of Israel. You're right, 50 plus, it's only 24%. So the old kind of Republicans have much more a much more favorable view of Israel. But overall, I mean, this is a massive collapse. If this is from March of 2026, and it's already, I guess, what support would be down to 59%.
Yeah, because you got to
lowest
remember
polls
the
Maybe.
left,
from right now.
the left,
from what I'm
they
looking
made
at,
this
it
entire
says that the
situation
lowest
regarding
polls are about
Israel.
56%, and the highest are still 75%. So
Let's go
it's-
to Riddell, and then I think Bam went to jump in. I want to make sure he gets a chance as well. Riddell.
Yeah, but the biggest point when it comes down to it regarding the current sentiment regarding Americans right now is that the left, of course, they tend to be a little bit morally loaded, and Israel's losing the moral battle in every sense of the word. So we understand why that's declining. And the right, what is the big thing that they've been focusing on? America first. And there's no way they can win that argument in a war that is one of the most unpopular since the Vietnam War, especially since both situations as of recently regarding the deal, the ceasefire deal, were affected because of Israel, the start of the war, and then Israel with Lebanon. So this is only going to go down, and this is only going to become more unpopular, which gives a lot of credence to eventually making. I would probably wait until the 2028 elections, because I do think there's enough like Republican people in Congress, and I do think Trump has an invested interest literally in Israel. But I do think the sentiment is going to be very quickly turning against Israel for sure in the next few years.
I think we're about
Let's let Bam in.
2 or 3 elections away from that, because I know we make it a Republican thing, but it's really just a generational thing. My grandmother,
It is.
my grandparents are 85-year-old black Democrats, and they, like I said, my entire life they've had a "We Support Israel" sign in our yard, not because they know anything about the geopolitics. We bring it up, they say Jesus was from Israel, and we like Jesus,
Yeah.
so that's all we.
Jews
need to know
were the
about.
original slaves.
That's a good. Oh, that's a good
No.
argument. It's a good argument.
But
was.
as far as but I do
Jesus
think it
was
is
brown.
generational. I think like if you Republican or
Let's not go crazy.
they're like so you push it out maybe like I said like 3 or 4 elections when like baby boomers are like just a few remaining, then you can probably you can probably come out as a stance like, you know what, we're doing a decoupling. I don't really have a strong opinion. I don't think you got to be anti, but I think it's going to be like Israel isn't going to be an issue that relevant of an
Yeah,
issue
it'll be
for you.
just another country.
I think that outside of that, bringing it back to what can happen, what I would want to happen with Iran, in an ideal situation, even if you're going to attach some assets, I think they need to be connected to United States owned escrow accounts that we can actually account for what
JD
what the
Vance
money
was
is.
saying that, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard that brought up, but that doesn't seem like none of this was negotiated. None of this was.
But we
written
know
in.
who's going to own the accounts, though, right?
The Jews?
What?
Sorry,
well, no,
I didn't know
again,
I'm about to
the
say,
majority of the majority of the
a lot of
sanctions
people
that are
miss
being released
things.
are already in Qatar and South Korea.
Yeah,
Those
I
are
think a lot
the
of stuff is
sanctions
like
that we give them
blanket.
I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the sanctions. I'm talking about the private investments.
Oh,
That's what
I
I'm concerned about.
think a lot of people, again, I don't know if there's there's not too many people that hate Trump more than me. A lot of people miss the point when they think that everything is based on the corruption. He's corrupt because he can do it. It's not his thing though. His thing is just personal aggrandizement. The corruption is just like the icing on top.
The cherry on top, yeah.
But yeah, the cherry on top. Yeah, Trump doesn't do everything in the interest of personal wealth gain. He yes, he would like that.
I don't know about that part.
He's not smart enough for that. Like not about
No,
Wait, what is
he didn't become president.
Wait,
he didn't become president to make money to do
Money,
crypto. He became president because he wanted to self-aggrandize. It just happens to be that he can also affect his bank.
Also make tons of money.
Well, this is a weird argument. Like,
I'm saying that like
to war
he's made
to make
billions
money.
in office.
He
didn't become president to make money.
What difference is it making me came in?
I think him rising his legacy.
Because
I'm not sure this is a useful argument. We can talk about something else.
Can I say this is
because you need to understand people's motivations to understand because you missed the next step. You're saying that like, oh, Trump's gonna have control over the investment that goes in because he started this war to make money. Not really. He started this war because Trump doesn't know anything about politics really. So he speaks and thinks in slogans. And the concept of peace in the Middle East is a slogan he's thought about probably the last 35 years. And he thinks it will be the coolest thing in the world if he's the person that can accomplish it. So that's why that's the main reason he pulled out of the JCPOA is because, okay, there's a deal in place, but I don't have anything to do with it. And I think I can do something better. I think I can.
No, he hated Obama. That's why he pulled it out of it.
If he was actually able to get Iran into the Abraham Accords and then actually have like a development package that would, oh my God, a development package that was actually good for Iran and good for the Gulf states, and then everybody was economically intertwined, which brought peace to the region, except for the Palestinians and the Lebanese, then that would be a phenomenal development. I think everybody's really skeptical about the possibility of it.
I think it was a gamble. There was a gamble element to it.
That would be a
because no one that went over there to do the negotiations are actual negotiators. Nobody was in contract law. Nobody the memorandum being a page and a half tells you that it was Jared Kushner and JD Vance.
It's the Americans not taking the Iranians.
To be fair, JD Vance did
wait.
Amount of the
the Iranians are sending their negotiators. They were sending their scientists to go talk to Jared Kushner and all that. It's Kushner and them that don't take the Iranians serious.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't think this is fair. Just because
you don't think it's fair?
I like to dog on JD Vance, but Jared Kushner arguably is the author of the Abraham Accords.
Yeah,
so
that's
just
bad.
because he's a civilian contractor doesn't mean anything.
The Abraham Accords one. Yeah, the creation of that, right? Precipitated
leads to
October
this
7th in the first place.
And
has people in the Middle East and North Africa tried just getting along?
Yeah. So
they were doing
getting along and selling their oil.
They were doing fine, and then the Israelis attacked.
I don't know why this assumption here going on from Zionists, honestly, right? The Abraham Accords will be a good thing. It would be a good thing for Iran to stand on to that. No, it wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll explain why. I'm literally just about to do it. Don't worry. I won't.
No answer to the Palestinian question, mainly.
Yeah, well, hold on. There's multiple reasons for this, right? One, the reasons why any of those leaders have signed on to it, right, is because this is the generation after the wars around Israel's formation, right? These are the generation that doesn't remember, that wasn't involved in the Nakba, right? Their fathers that were running the country previously, right? All of them were staunchly against. You would never allow this to happen, right? But the individuals are in charge. Well, a lot of corruption. Hopefully, we can all agree on that. Within the Gulf states, plenty of corruption. Israel's happy to abide that. But beyond that, it works for the enrichment of the top political class. But of the people of the Gulf states, all of them are against this, right? It's extremely unpopular. The fact Iran has become more popular in the Gulf states, even with them attacking out into those other countries, right? Because they've been fighting for Palestine and for the Lebanese, right? Because the rest of the people are not for this. So there's an assumption that, hey, because we align these states with Western imperial powers, right? Hey, don't attack our vassal state there. That would be a good thing. Why would that be a good thing? Why would you assume that'd be a good thing, right? It would abide an ethnic cleansing. How could that be a good thing? But you say that it is so easy.
It's just a little.
Well, it's not happening to the Jewish people, so it's a good thing. If it happens to the Muslims, it's fine. We'll about that.
Dude, like the whole thing here is whether or not it's literally how you litigate 3,200 years of history. Whether or not you believe
it's not three. No, stop talking to me about the 3,000 years of history when you don't apply this to any people. You're not even religious like that. So I don't fucking care if 3,000 years ago there was
hold on. If the Irish people were fucking moved out of Ireland,
give the Native Americans their land back. Are we giving the Native Americans their land back? Are we giving the Native Americans their land back?
Fuck them. They lost the war. Who gives a shit? The same way you're losing the war right now.
I don't want to fucking hear anything about Israelis then.
Okay, fine. Then if you don't want to hear the historical argument, here's the reality. You're losing the war to a militarily superior foe.
Hey, Connor, here's the reality. You're losing the war too, bud.
That's what the MOU is.
You can keep saying you're kicking Muslim ass in the Middle East all you fucking want, but you lose every fucking time. And why is it? It's because you want to keep defending. It's because you want to keep defending the Israelis.
Loses.
You want to keep defending Israel.
Are you?
When did you win?
Seriously?
When did you win in the Middle East?
Are we capping right now? Like
no. When did you? You killed a lot of people. You killed a lot of people
in Iraq.
Yeah. You killed a lot of people. You killed a lot of people, but you didn't win. You killed a lot of people. How much money did you spend? How much money did you spend in Iraq? How many
Iraqis died in Iraq, and how many Americans died in Iraq?
I said you kill a lot of people. Did you? But you don't.
No, we didn't. Y'all killed each other.
I think it was like 1 million or something. But
No, it was like around 200,000. But at the same time, you understand that like 80% of the fucking casualties were done by jihadist militias. They weren't even done by American armed forces.
Why are there jihadist militias in the Middle East?
Why would that make a difference for his argument, though?
There's also
because
I don't think it's fair to say anybody.
Every time you go to the Middle East, you get your ass kicked. It's like no, you guys get
no.
kicked.
I said that's not what I said, Connor. That's not what I said, Connor. That's not what I said, Connor. I said every time we go to the Middle East, you say, yeah, we kick all the Muslim ass, right? Yeah, you kill a bunch of Muslims, sure, but you don't win the wars. You end up losing the wars.
Yeah, we end up
wait, is Saddam Hussein still in power right now?
Losing to
how much money did we lose? How much money did we lose in Iraq? Do we still bitch about Iraq today?
Money's a social.
Do we still complain about Afghanistan today?
Counterpoints.
Like I said, you kill people.
Counterpoints. Can you remind us who's in charge in Afghanistan right now?
Or Syria? Who's in charge in Syria right now?
Afghanistan was a little oopsie. Okay?
Who's in charge in Syria right now?
Who's in charge?
Whoops!
Who's in charge in Syria, Connor?
Who's in charge of Iran after we had overthrown?
Look, hey, Prime. At least Libya. At least Libya is stable.
Counterpoints.
Yeah,
who's in charge of Syria?
Remember that Connor thinks.
Who's in charge of Syria right now? Do the Russians still have their naval base?
Who's in charge of?
Do the Russians still have their naval base?
Do the Russians still have their naval base?
Yeah, no, I think they do.
Connor thinks
Syria?
Bomb go boom equal war one. Bomb go boom equal me win war. Fucking 5th grade understanding of war.
No. Well, see, I think you guys have a 5th grade. No, I would like the opportunity to articulate something. I think you have a 5th grade. I would like the opportunity to say something. I think you have a 5th grade understanding of war. Because the United States doesn't need to occupy foreign nations. What it needs is the oil to flow. And right now, the only reason why the oil isn't flowing is because Trump fucked it up so goddamn bad.
That's still America. You know that, right?
Since the 1970s,
it's still America.
Since the 1970s, the oil has largely been flowing.
This is so
and you're
lazy.
welcome because 70% of your gay ass fucking bedroom is made up of oil shit.
Let me hold on. This is something I hate. This is the lazy. Like I think it's lazy when like everything bad is blamed on Trump, and whenever every explanation of Trump's actions is, well, he's just a narcissist. He's just doing this for his own wealth. Like anything good is like, well, he's just doing it for himself. Anything bad, oh, he's just doing it for himself. All that, like, come on, like. Iraq was not under Trump. Afghanistan was not under Trump. Libya was not under Trump. Syria, partially, I suppose, but most of it was not under Trump. Like
Great American wins.
we,
right there.
we are perfectly capable of blundering in the Middle East without Trump. Okay, it is not.
Nah,
This is
dude,
not
no,
like
no,
Trump
no,
is a
those
unique
are
president
totally
and blundering in the Middle
no,
East.
those are totally different. Those are
Yeah, they're
drastically
worse.
different. Donald Trump is the one who pulled us out of the JCPOA, and he gives them the ability to enrich uranium and then goes to war with them for enriching uranium. He seemed to only pull us out of the JCPOA because he didn't like Obama. He wanted to updo Obama and get a better deal than him, and didn't realize that he couldn't possibly do that. And so now
And he did
we
fuck
got
up
stuck in a
20% of
fucking
the
war
oil economy.
because
Even
of
when
his
we invaded
ego.
Iraq, we didn't fuck up the oil
100%
economy
because
that
of his
bad.
ego.
Yeah, if you look into that one particular metric, I mean, Iraq was much longer than Iran.
particular-
Afghanistan
We don't know
was
that yet.
way
We don't know that yet.
longer.
We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet.
Ultimately, ultimately, we don't know. But like I said before, I'm going off of what we have right now because there could be endless speculation. Sure, maybe it gets hot again tomorrow. Possibly. Maybe Iraq happens again. Maybe Trump is like, oh, I'm going to go one up Bush. Who knows? It's possible. But I'm saying that
he does keep saying he does keep saying if the Iranians don't comply, we're just going to bomb the shit out of them.
I'm aware. My point is that once again, it just feels lazy to me, and it also feels. Not only does it feel lazy, but it feels like very intentionally like election brained, like there's some kind of hidden motivation here. When it's like, well, it's just because Trump is terrible at it, as opposed to taking an honest view and saying, well, this is just unfortunately a terrible action and one last blunder in a long string of U.S. military blunders in the Middle East, going back to like the big one starting with George W. Bush. When it came to Iraq, when it came to Afghanistan, Libya is still fucked to hell. Syria, I guess we put some Al Qaeda affiliates in there. I guess that's a little bit better than Bashar al-Assad or whatever the fuck.
Here.
Yeah, Al Qaeda's in charge of
Syria.
And then who gets counted here?
And then
it led to this.
They're wearing suits now.
Yeah, I guess you go back to that. And then Iraq, we handed that country. Yeah, we took out Saddam and then handed that country over in influence to the Iranians. Do you want to talk about Iranian power?
They're still selling us oil, so we don't give a shit.
Who runs Syria right now, guys?
There's nothing comparable to like dating back to like there's a why that leads directly back to Trump's action. Like, why did we take this bad deal? We took this bad deal because the oil reserves are about to run out. Why are the oil reserves about to run out? The oil reserves are about to run out because we started a war with Iran that led to them closing the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah,
why did we start a war with Iran that leads to them closing the Strait of Hormuz? Because we had threats of them having a nuclear weapon. Why do we have threats of them having a nuclear weapon?
Because Israel
pulled out of
the JCPOA.
Well, all of this actually started because humans evolved. Bam.
Donald J. Trump.
If we want to go all the way back.
Yeah, I don't know how you could undermine.
And then the why that we pull out
actions.
of
I think that was
the
kind of wild,
JCPOA because Donald Trump hates Obama and probably black people as a whole.
Thank you, my listening library, for $5. He does hate black people. Trump would probably own the investments himself and say his children's. And say it's his children's. Own the investments. I think he means like because a little while ago. I think he means like $300 billion. Like holding an account. I think that's what he means. But thank you, my listening library.
No,
that's my money.
Sorry. No, I know what he's referencing.
Okay.
My listening library is referencing the conversation that happened earlier where there was like private investors. I think a couple people made the point. Riddell, I think, was
the
one
private
of them.
investors.
Private investors in the U.S. are going to try to invest into companies within Iran or whatever. Which I'm sure this. I mean, this is what happens every time there's some kind of like. You should see the shit we bought in Ukraine. We should look into that. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, this happens.
US, so
we invest in shit, right? The Soviet Union collapses, and we put a McDonald's in there the next day.
Yeah, and I do think there's a difference.
When you're going through when you're going through your list, do you think that Donald Trump literally went to war just because he thought Iran was going to get nukes? Like that's why he went.
That's part of it.
Well,
there's multiple things going on.
No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's part of it. I don't think it's part of it.
You don't think there's any part of it at all?
No, I understand. I understand it. I think it's part of the factor, but I also think yes, I do believe that. Well, not even think. I know that it was related to Israel. Like he even admitted as much. Israel reached out and said that like, hey, we're about to do this, and you would be so awesome. You'd have the biggest dick in the room if you.
Some speculated that Israel did it, and there's also. Join.
So. But it's not just that though. Like again, I just want to be fair and give all context. You also have to put this on the back of this was like what just maybe a few weeks out of the Venezuela situation, where Trump thought that like, hey, like these military bombing strikes are really easy. There's like
that was a crazy success. Yeah, he was emboldened.
Like, I think he was like, wow, I can just do that again.
Well,
you're right.
That's a much easier objective.
No, hold on, Bam. You're right that I think that that was a major deciding factor in his like boldness to make the decision, because he was like, look, Venezuela was so successful, like,
and they told him they could just strike the leadership, and they did.
Yeah, and so and then you have Trump, who does have
there was kind of no.
Yeah, Midnight Hammer. Yeah, like there are things that were like I think give confidence to this, and then you have Israel say, hey, like, I don't know how much of this is. My understanding, this is
in and out, 20-minute adventure.
Yeah, it was basically like a Rick and Morty kind of situation, and they came to him and they're like, "Let's just fucking do it," and then they did it, and then oh shit, it's a little bit more involved. That's my understanding. But I think Donald Trump. There's
a reason I brought that up.
Right. But the underlying motivations, I think, for Trump are going to be largely in line with most of the security advisors that are telling him the same shit they've been telling every other prior president, which is, look, here are the security challenges being caused by Iran. This is the problem. And if they get a nuclear weapon, this is why we did Stuxnet. This is why we did Midnight Hammer. Like, if Trump didn't care about the nuclear bombs, why did he do Midnight Hammer, which was very specifically the nuclear bombs?
This is the issue, right?
I hate making it about Israel.
Is that unfortunately, this thing is about Israel. I know you guys don't want to talk about Israel,
but
like, this all ties back in. Like, I'm sorry.
I brought it up multiple times.
I'm not talking to you. I was talking like Riddell or
okay.
Kind of like.
Okay, but you're a little bit too much in the other end, though. Yeah.
No.
You're a little bit too much on the other end.
Too much on.
Yes.
Because
you're saying that nukes had nothing to do with it.
Let Ali talk. I want Ali to finish.
I'm on the other end because every time we talk about it, we try to put Iran or we try to put Hamas or we try to put Hezbollah in this vacuum. Every time we talk about this conversation, and then when we bring it back to Israel, ends up happening is we end up minimizing everything that has to do with Israel because for some reason no one wants to talk about it because it is a big part of
every. My issue.
We talk about it all the time.
What? We talked about strippers 2 weeks ago. And we brought up the strippers
I
are
will
Israeli
respond as well.
insurgents. Like, I'm just saying it happens
What?
every week.
No,
I'm saying that the prime has a problem.
I mean, this specific subject has everything to do with it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry because
problem with Israel.
Oli, you said that you don't think the nuclear weapons have anything to do with it. That's the contention I'm having. Yeah. I have no doubt that Israeli security and like mentality is in large part responsible for the actions being taken. But you've got to admit, like the whole we're worried about Iran having a nuke, that comes into play based on all of the U.S. actions going past 20 years.
Not really, because we did Operation Midnight Hammer, where we apparently got rid of their ability. We set them back years.
Obliterated.
So we did, or totally we sent a Moab, or we didn't. We either obliterated or we didn't. So the issue is that
I said at the time we didn't.
Okay, I know. Well, okay, you said at the time we didn't, but the president said we did, right?
I'm sure he said that. Yes.
So we went in. We dropped the bomb.
Yeah, hyperbole, exaggeration.
Israel asking for help because they couldn't.
They
didn't have bombs.
Best donuts in town. What does that really mean?
So So then now we have another issue where they're like, okay, listen,
to a donut shop. You agree, right?
Kind of.
So the Moab doesn't work.
Go ahead, Ali, please.
Yeah, the Moab doesn't work, right? Correct, so then a few months later, well, what do we do? We already did the bomb. Israel asked us for help and we supported, but no, now we have to go to and bomb Iran directly, right? We have to be engaged in a war like more directly. We're killing civilians. Well, now we want to stop, right? Now what's happening is Israel and their politicians are flipping. The secretary of whatever Ben-Gvir or whatever his name is flipping. All these people are flipping.
Did you see what he said? Did you see what he said, by the way, on Twitter?
Yeah. I saw, for every one kid in Israeli mother shed a thousand Lebanese mothers. Yeah, fuck that guy. But so now what's happening is we want to leave, right? We shouldn't have gotten in. This is our out. We want to leave. But now we're not going to be able to leave because any negotiation we want to have, well, we have this ally that is going to fuck around with the negotiators. It's not gonna listen to us. Right now, they're not listening to us. We said stop fucking with Lebanon, right? And then they didn't listen to us and they continued to bomb. So now the strait is closed again because Iran's like, hey, listen, we told you guys this. We run shit right now. Iran's in their bad girl era. Okay, it's their shit. They're making the calls. And our ally is fucking with our negotiations, and you guys don't want to talk about that. because you're sick of talking about Israel, but this is literally what's happening because of Israel. We literally went for them. We are literally not able to get out because of them. So yeah, we have to talk about it. I'm sorry.
Let's let Badal in and then Bam.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. The only reason why I went down my argumentation is to outline that Iran also is not someone which is also bad, basically. That's the only reason why I tried to make that vacuum argument. However, I do agree. I'm also in line with there's no way you can talk about this without Israel. I completely agree with that. And it is
to be brought up. We've said Israel more than Iran in this conversation. Like,
no, because Iran isn't really like.
I'm not one of those people that's convinced that America in particular would have gotten into this if Israel didn't say so. I'm being honest. I don't think we would have done anything.
No, I mean they said as much.
Exactly.
They said as much that Israel said, we're going, are you coming or are you not?
Right.
And they said that they tried to pull the same stunt with Obama and Biden, and Obama and Biden both told Israel to go fuck itself. And then Israel didn't have the balls to do it by themselves. So they said as much within like 48
we're talking about how we want to handle the Iranians with this, but the issue is with handling the Iranians in this.
Is smarter than Trump. Right.
Yeah, we want to talk about how we want to handle Iran in this, but like it's
he's smart. Even Biden with his brains leaking out of his ears, right, was still not as stupid as
the
Trump
auto pen was smart. I don't know.
Absolutely, exactly.
Yes,
that guy. The auto pen was mightier than the sword.
That guy was smart. And I hate Biden, right? Even him, who was not stupid enough to drag us into this mess.
Did you vote for Kamala?
And Bam. No, I didn't.
Yeah, wow. And son of a bitch.
And Bam won't ever
he's genocidal.
Let me forget it. Don't worry. But yeah,
he's pro-genocide.
But I think that I agree with I agree with you, Ali. This is just my personal beef with how the rest of our conversation go. If we didn't talk about Israel as much as we did, I understand you're not bringing it up as an irrelevant thing. I just hate that it always goes here. That's just my personal gripe.
I understand that.
But I do want to be honest. That as far as pulling out of this deal, the issue is Israel does have a consistent plan. Israel's goal is regime change, and they haven't shooken from that from the first thing. And they're like, and Trump's like, oh, this is actually kind of hard. I want to take my ball and go home. And Israel's like, we're in the shit now. Like, no, this is we're supposed to be going all the way to regime change. Like, we need to bomb Karg Island. Like, I don't care about the global ramifications. Like, we want this regime gone. And the reality is you can't do that from the sky. And Trump is a coward who's gotten 15 Americans killed, but he's way too big of a coward to actually put boots on the ground realistically, because he knows.
Is that cowardice?
But
he's not going to be on the ground.
Are we not going to have? Are we not going to have to?
Also, he's very frightened about the elections. If he had Venezuela type numbers, he would put boots on the ground. I swear to God.
But we're gonna have to put boots on the ground, or we're gonna have to concede from everything.
I think we're already conceding everything.
Yeah, we're not doing boots on the ground.
But then here's the thing. Here's the problem. But here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that is, like, Trump has said, is like, if Iran doesn't play nice with Israel too, right? It's not a one-way street. But like, if Israel keeps doing shit in southern Lebanon, and Iran stops playing nice and stops, like, then we have to go. He said he's going to bomb again, and we're going to keep bombing until we. So like, we're kind of stuck there, right or wrong?
Yeah, he might do more bombs.
Well, he even
do you guys actually see an exit plan? Is what I'm asking. Do you see either Israel or Hezbollah or Iran stopping from anything?
We're literally going to give them everything they want, and we're going to be fucking trying to get Israel to fucking chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what you think, do you think Israel's going to chill out?
They might not.
No, probably not.
So then, if they don't chill out, we continue in, because they are our ally.
No,
they are our ally.
What I think would happen
we have a
if
terrorist group
Israel,
on the other side.
Hold on.
Yeah,
if Israel didn't chill out, I don't think we're going to be like cutting off. Like, you're not going to see a press conference where they say, "Oh, Israel wouldn't chill the fuck out, so we're cutting off aid." But you're going to see some like pretty spicy fucking shit come out. Yeah, like it won't be. We won't get all the spice, but the spice will happen in back doors. Absolutely.
Yeah, Israel, they still understand the power. Like, the U.S. is still a superpower. They understand the relevance of having the United States ally. Like, they're gonna fight and they'll fuss, but they're like, there's a threshold where they like figure out how to do their stuff like chiller.
Trump's already talking a little bit of shit.
I don't
He's
think
always
that's the
talking.
case. I think the Israelis have it to
Not
the
like
point
this.
where like
Las Vegas.
they know that they're going to have this kind of, at least from the American government, for right now, an infinite support. I don't see the American government laxing any support for Israel.
So
Well,
I
Israel
want
uses
to
oil
use this.
too.
Okay, our friend Bam, right? He's still my friend too, even though my God. But like my friend Bam said that we've been mentioning Israel more than we've mentioned Iran. Okay, all right. Let's try to like circle this back. Israel's going to come up again, absolutely. But still, let's try to circle this back, right? To that last question. How do we get out of this, right? And we've been touching on this just now, right? Like, because part of the deal is that like hostilities end in Lebanon, and then Israel has been trying to sabotage that. They just killed 80 people in an offensive because they said "fuck you" to America. Let's remember that, conservatives. But anyway, but still, I'd like to understand. Okay, you guys don't like the deal. That's fair, right? The deal is. It's a deal, all right. It's something. So then, how would you get us out, right? And I actually really want like serious answers, like the best that you can do, right? And I know none of us here or anybody, right? But like, if you were in position of power, like, how would you guide us out of the situation? If it's not through this deal, like lay it out, some practical steps. Let's start with
I said earlier that like this is pretty much the deal that like can get us out. Like this is kind of like a best case scenario. On top of that, we're probably going to have to cut off all aid to Israel. I don't see any chance of them chilling out, and there's going to have to be like a full pressure campaign on them to actually get them to pull out of Lebanon. So,
okay, Lactoid.
My proposal would be, if I was going to try a serious proposal, it would be us going to Iran and saying, look, we're not going to give you money here on this. This is a non-starter. But what we are going to do, if and you got to really open up the Strait of Hormuz for us here on this one, is we're going to basically give Israel an ultimatum where they got to pull out of Lebanon, otherwise their future relationship with the U.S. is going to be on the line. Specifically when it comes to our funding of them, we're still going to be friendly or whatever, but I mean, this is getting pretty ridiculous. And also the settlements in the West Bank. I think that's going to be an incredibly appealing deal for the Iranians, and go from there.
Would you lift sanctions?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, all the sanctions, or just like some of them, and then have like more for negotiations later on or something.
The Trump
I mean, I would lift as few as I could to get them to agree to what I wanted, right? Like if it took all the sanctions to get them to stop, then I would. But I prefer to have some negotiation chips left over if I could.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Bam.
Yeah, I don't think the Trump administration is strategic enough to know the difference in what some sanctions do versus others. They just kind of work in blanket all or nothing things because they're like, they're just simple people. Unironically, as far as what I would do, realistic, or what they're gonna have to do. Forget about what I would do. I think that they're going to have to, the same way they've offered a huge bone to the Iranians. I think they're going to do the same to Israel. I think they're going to make some offer to increase defense funding, so Israel has a why to. That they can basically assurance that they'll be protected from Lebanon, so they can pull out. They're going to offer some extra $1 billion in funding to them. BB's going to take it back to his people and take it as a win. They'll shake hands on it. I don't think, like I said, so we are talking about stopping funding. No, I think we're going to actually increase. I do think that the Iranians, yes, there's the theocratic element. There's the we're willing to take it their element. That's a real thing, but the Iranians also have an interest in the strait being open. Like them doing this is like mutually assured destruction. They also want to sell their oil because their economy is beyond crippling. I think their inflation rate's at like 9% a month, something, or 14%. I can't remember. It's an insane rate per month. There, a month-over-month inflation rate. So they are hurting, and they do want to sell their oil. So the ability to do so, especially unsanctioned, would be a major benefit to them, because again, they can show the paper saying they're going to get the 300 million. I think their negotiators are probably smart enough to realize, like, oh, we're going to advocate for this, but I don't think they're planning on getting that money. But they're planning on selling a lot of oil, making probably 5-6 billion. I think someone was saying like a day or a week, some crazy amount of money that they'll make from that. And then let's say for as far as the U.S. interest, once they can get the Strait open, the gas isn't going to go down immediately, no matter what they say. They're going to take some small steps to try to slow steps to build the reserves back up. They're not going to do it too fast, because then that'll spike up gas prices even more. But they're going to try to pivot towards something else. Arguably, it seems crazy that war would be the response, but arguably it seems like Marco is prepping something related to Cuba to get people's eyes on something different. And then they're going to try to go into election season and bring it back to affordability.
Let's go to our friend Corey.
So yeah, I think actually what Lactoid or even BAM proposed are pretty decent. I'm not opposed to them, but actually I would go back to my opening statement of like, so even though I think just about everyone here unanimously agrees that this is a bad deal, or rather this memorandum of understanding is a bad deal, but this is largely for people like Gibbs to spin into something positive. So like I'm pretty confident that no matter what, Gibbs will be able to spin. This represents a win for the United States. But as I said in my opening statement, I think pretty much it would have been the appropriate strategy to just withdraw, even though that would be seen as a loss or considered a loss, and you can't really spin that as a win. But I think a country should be able to recognize when they have lost and when they make a mistake, because that at least shows some level of self-awareness. And I think that should be, making a mistake is totally valid. Losing a war is valid. You should recognize when you lost. That would have been my recommendation.
Let's go to our friend Counterpoints.
I would seize Karg Island and the southern coast of Iran. Then I would airdrop endless Starlink terminals and AK-47s and small arms into Tehran. And then I would have not the Houthis. I would have God damn it. What are they?
The Kurds?
The Kurds. Thank you. I would have the turds
Shout out the Kirk.
come from the west and then depose the Iranian regime.
So
Then we'll finally have peace in the Middle East.
I'm imagining this is a joke, so
It's 70%
It's kind of a joke. That's what
it's too
Connor is a
risky.
neocon now.
I'm getting screwed over.
It's too risky. It's too much blood. It's a better plan on paper than it is in reality.
Connor's
Okay,
a
so
neocon
then-
now.
Okay,
Full-blooded.
so then what about a better plan in reality?
Then do the deal now, but still work with Iranian dissidents in order to get Starlink terminals and small arms into position so you can finally overthrow the government eventually.
Okay, all right. Let's go to our friend Riddell.
A lot of interesting things that were said. I would also, at the very least, if do something about the private investment. I don't trust it. At very least, make it much more transparent on who's investing and where they're investing at. I do think leveraging Israel in this conversation is important. Taking away aid. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody knows here, is there like elections coming up for Israel?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's true.
And Bibi is
so-
slated to lose as well.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting leverage point. I'm sure Bibi wants Trump and MAGA's endorsement, so that's another big leverage point to use against Israel as well. And then, of course, in regards to the peace plan and the border peace and all that BS, you can leverage that against Israel too. So there's a couple leverage points that you can use to potentially remove them from Lebanon. Also, utilizing this, like the Israel point, you could also maybe make some type of nuclear agreement because there's nothing right now. So maybe some baseline. Maybe you can agree that instead of like Iran, you kind of controlling the strait, whatever that means, maybe having a mediated force, whether it's Qatar or Pakistan, also be involved in that. I think that would be good. So, Iran can't close it whenever they feel like it. And then, of course, what America has to do on our side is win the midterm so Congress can do their fucking job, and we should use more green energy. Oil is overrated. So there's a couple plans.
Make Elon Musk worth $3 trillion.
Let's so
rid of
Tom,
it.
I guess you already said your piece on this, and let's go to our finale.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that would fix actually everything is the one thing no one said, which was Palestinians need a
Nuke
state.
Israel.
No, it's really simple. Palestinians need a state. Palestinians don't have a state. This goes on forever. There's a reason why
Jerry
the
Seinfeld, they
Abraham
said it
Accords.
dealt, though.
Yeah, I know. There's a reason why the Abraham Accords didn't work, because in signing those, the Palestinians were the ones who got left out. Yeah, sure, there was peace amongst all these other greater countries, but then we still have this one country to talk about. And until we solve that problem, until the Palestinians have a state, until we stop ethnically cleansing them and kicking them off their lands, and then this is just going to keep going. Like, people aren't going to stop. The solution to this would be give Palestinians a state, and then you won't have any problems.
Do you think they want a state? Or do you
Yeah,
think
I
Still
they
have
need a
problems.
Yeah, I think they
We'll
will.
have some problem.
We still have some
We might have
problems.
less
Most
problems.
people
Don't have
don't
any
want a two-state solution, though, so it's hard to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lots
lots of
Wait, hold up, wait. This whole thing. Most people know they would have to get one, right? Everyone would have to get one, and if both sides want to keep fighting, we need to stay out of it. At a certain point, like, we're in the Middle East running defense and being the cops, and it's not working. It's costing us fuck tons of money. It's costing us lives. It's costing get out. We'll focus on us. China, all these people, they're focusing on them. They're not doing wars all over the world. They can just, we can do the same thing. We can have trade agreements with people. But if people want to blow themselves up,
let's harvest organs from political dissidents.
Actually, that sounds very Marjorie
That's
Taylor Greene. I'm actually pro U.S. World Police. I was about to say,
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's like cool to be the isolationist.
When is America going to focus on itself? Because I feel like Americans are broke, but we want to sit here and be world police when we can barely police ourselves within our own country right now. So
What are you talking about? The United States is literally the most peaceful it's ever been.
The United States right now is the most peaceful it's ever been.
Yes, it is comparable to
the whole
1960s
world,
levels of violence.
Violence and peace are two different things. I mean, we might not be less like actual violent, but I don't.
I understand.
We're on the brink of
We are literally statistically as peaceful as we were in the 1950s and 1960s.
About violence again.
We weren't that peaceful in the 1950s and 1960s.
Yes, we were. We were literally at half the
much.
violence that we were in the 1990s.
The
Yeah,
1990s
well,
was
violence
like a
isn't
spike in
only-
violence,
I understand
to
what
be
you're
fair.
talking about.
In the
But, like,
1990s, the violence rate was 10 per 100,000. The current
Yeah, it
homicide
spiked
rate is
in the
5 per
1990s,
100,000.
to be fair, but
you have like
that'll
the drug evidence. That has nothing to do with peace. Like people dying isn't the biggest factor for peace.
Yeah, all the people in the immigration camps, I doubt they're saying it's peaceful.
I would say all the people
I'm just
during the
saying that,
Jim
like,
Crow
we're-
era would
we're
also argue that it was
politically
not peaceful for them. But okay,
Sorry.
whatever, we're good.
What's your definition of peace?
Yeah,
Peace
we can-
is a lack
we
of
got-
violence. We are arguably at one of the lowest points of
And
violence in American
argue
history.
this some other time. We can make it another topic, and we can actually have some sort of threshold for peace, whatever that might be. I really don't know. Okay, so I heard a lot of different things here, right? Like Lactoid talked about, like, well, we're not going to give you money for restitution, but like we will have like a strongly worded letter to Israel. No, you said actually no. Would cut off. We would cut off. You're saying we would seriously cut off money.
My point is, like, to some extent, Iran is engaging in like collective punishment here. They're basically saying the whole world doesn't get resources if Israel and America don't back off. And so, I mean, if we back off and we say, okay, we want nothing more to do with this, and Iran keeps it closed just because of their conflict with one nation, like, I think at this point, doesn't this like justify like every other country to intervene?
Hold on. We gotta. This is important. This part's important, right? Closed and open, right? Get tossed around here a lot, and it doesn't really make sense.
Okay, I understand.
Sure. What Iran has talked about, right, and what they're still talking about, is setting up a toll system, where you come through You pay $2 million, right? And if you have $1 million barrels of oil, that's like $2. That's like $2 per barrel. Like, so, which is cheap, I think. But anyway, they're talking about setting up. They're not saying, hey, we're gonna end traffic. In fact, they want the oil to flow. That would give them more money altogether.
Why
right?
should they
So
get a
let's-
toll?
I was about
Why
to say
shouldn't-
the
why
Saudis.
shouldn't-
Why should the
why
Saudis
shouldn't-
and Kuwaitis
Why
Why
have
shouldn't the
international-
Saudis and the Abu Dhabi? Why shouldn't they get a toll?
they can feel free to
No, this is a natural waterway. This is dumb.
No,
we can just
it's
start-
an international crime for them to toll.
Yeah,
the
This is
strait.
crazy.
Hold on.
Hey, look, if you want to cross the
crime-
Pacific, you better start
crime-
paying
the
America some money,
crime-
okay?
First of all, that's how it
True.
was before. That's literally how it was before. To use
No, I don't think it was. I think it was literally
No, no.
without toll, and that was one of the things Hassan
Yeah,
Piker
it's
was
never
saying.
been
No, actually, you're
Hassan was
wrong.
like, "Oh, the Iranians were so moral for not
no.
charging
Listen,
a toll for this water."
No. You
Strait of
misunderstand what I'm
Hormuz?
talking
Yeah.
about. I'm talking about before the current world order, right? When we were doing massive trade, like under the British Empire, like it costs money to move these things across, like especially like protection,
Where all
right?
of them didn't have clothes.
They're like it costs money to
Protection
move
from
across
them.
the major waterways. Yeah, that's part of it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
Just
so I'm-
moderate.
Iranians
It's
providing
still
protection.
protection.
and I was hey, and the Iranians were always fine with a non-told Strait of Hormuz until they were attacked. Let's not forget. That's how we got into this, right? But still, in any case, right? But even if you disagree with the toll, I don't care if you disagree with the toll, right? I don't
do.
care, right? What I'm saying is like we have to be careful when we're talking about open and closed. It is open if they say, hey, everyone's just got to pay and to go through, right? Just like, you pay to go, I believe you pay to go through like the Suez Canal in Egypt, right? Like Egypt fought for control of the Suez Canal. And
That's not a natural waterway though. That's different.
Who
They built
cares?
that
whatever. But now they
because that shit that wasn't there before, and then they built it.
You keep asking you're asking me about this as if like it matters to me whether you like it or not. That's not the question I'm talking about. Whether it's open or closed, it is open, just like the toll highway close to me, right? Is open. If I don't want to pay it, then I don't cross.
No, but
it.
you're right.
That
I understand what
means
you're
it's
saying.
not
I
open.
understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that
Okay.
in my mind, a natural waterway is only open if you can just use it, right? So if you have a natural waterway, in this case that's bordered by multiple countries, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, all these countries border this. Yet, like Oman, they all border this, and they all have a lot of assets in that area. This idea that Iran could just say, like, actually, all of you on the other side of the little sea here, all of you got to pay us a toll in order to move your shit out. That to me feels just like extortion.
Are
And
U.S.
so
national parks
it is extortion.
open even though you have to pay to get into them?
No, hold on. I said waterways. If
started
we're talking about like
I
American
I know
sovereign
you're talking
land,
about waterways.
here, let
me.
me make it very like comparable. We should not be charging the Canadians to use Lake Superior. That'd be fucking ridiculous, and I don't think we are. If we are,
we
that's a
absolutely
problem.
Should charge them.
No.
We should absolutely
Lake
charge them to
Superior,
use Lake Superior.
We
Fuck
share
that.
we share Lake Superior with Canada. They got a
That's
whole
ours.
the whole
There's
long
a lot
border.
of water agreements, I believe, with the
Sorry.
Great Lakes.
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of water agreements. We're not charging them a toll.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
like-
Sorry. A waterway is different from land. Like
Yes.
you can't charge.
Yeah,
okay,
basically.
so you haven't.
Yes.
So no. But I'm saying like in terms of like how we should treat them. You're saying that
Yes.
like land, that's okay if you can charge for the use of land,
If it's
but not
your
waterways.
land, yeah. Because
Land
I
is
see
owned
like
by countries.
I see like a country owning land as like, okay, this is like their sovereign territory. As long as we're going to agree with the concept of nation
You're against
states,
the Gulf
it
of
makes
America?
sense. It makes
Yeah,
sense
that's
that
doing their own
that's a
countries.
naming thing. I don't want to charge Mexico tolls for shipping their
No,
shit
you have
to
to
fucking
live
Cuba.
on land. You can't live on water.
yeah,
So
now-
water
now
is
I-
different.
now-
If
now I
you're gonna use the
agree.
International waterways, like it
Sure.
has to be open.
And I agree. Like there is like international understandings of territorial waters, waters that extend out a certain period, and that can be subject to dispute.
Mhm.
But the Saudis and the Qataris and the Bahrainians, they all have the same expectation if we're going to establish these waterway rights. And again, why does Iran get to claim sovereignty over the
They're
whole?
the big dog.
Oh, hold on.
They have the force to do it.
Now
They're
this
the
is
big
a
dog.
purely might makes right argument.
Mhm.
If we want to roll with
that's what's
that,
being used against
But no,
them is
I'm
might
not,
makes
I'm
right.
not
So they're
for might
retaliating
makes
with
right.
might makes
Sorry,
right.
Hunt, again, I'm not for might makes right argument. But then I'm also not for them being attacked by the U.S. and Israel.
no,
Well, the might
me
did make
neither,
it
right,
right, though.
me neither,
And
brother.
also-
Which is why when you asked me what do I'm proposing doing, I'm saying, look, make it clear to the Iranians that we're not going to get on board with this shit anymore. But they need to stop extorting all of the countries that had nothing to do with it.
Well, I was about to say the might did the
uh,
might did make right, and the might across the world, like the big dogs came to agreement and said that, hey, you know what? The ocean is kind of just open
And
territory.
they
You can't tell somebody
and they can't
use the
enforce that
ocean.
anymore. Iran proved they can't enforce that anymore. They're
Oh,
done.
they can.
That's-
We can
can't.
enforce it if we
Well,
want to.
America
It's just
can't.
Americans. No, Americans don't have the
We're
time.
They
unwilling.
could. They're just not going to
But,
go
yeah.
to the
Well,
extent to where
that's
they
the
would.
same
Like,
thing.
the
It's
problem
same
is,
thing.
yeah,
Those
it
are
is the same thing. The
meaningfully
problem is
different
that, like,
no, those are
Nope.
huge meaningfully different.
no, they're not.
It's a
They're not.
huge difference between something that like I
They
don't feel
can't
like
and
going
they're
through the
not
pressure of
going
doing
to
it,
because they
but
can't is the
knowing
same
that we
thing.
can.
No, they're not.
Mm.
Hold on, they're not different. We could literally nuke any country anytime we wanted to stop them from
Well, no,
doing
we
anything.
can't nuke
But we're
China.
not
We can't
going
nuke
to, which
Russia.
means
We-
that
we
we
can
like
nuke
it,
them,
it is
right?
a your
That's
limits
fine,
are
but
based
when
on what it is that you're willing to do, and based on the resources that you're willing to put towards that. That is what
Yeah.
you can do is always based on
I
that. But
disagree. I think those
Tom's
there's
right.
The point
things
is
we
that
can't do.
even on top of that, the United States, Donald Trump has even said that he's like trying to negotiate with them to where he's also going to get a percentage of the toll, and he's going to let them toll people going through there, and he'll he'll get a percentage of it as well. Like it's
Hill as
It-
in
like,
him or
it is-
Hill as in America?
I
He
think
means
America.
America. I think
I
he
is
means
what he was
America.
saying.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
would hope
He
hope
said
means
20% of
America.
all. He said 20% of all oil that comes out is taxed.
That's
20% of
ridiculous.
all oil, right? Yeah, a ridiculous thing that comes out. Yet another ridiculous thing that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, right? But like that would be so much worse. Correct, right?
But
Because
we
you're the
run the
guardians of
Strait.
the Strait of Hormuz. Crazy, right? So I mean, I don't know, man. This is
He
just
compares
how
it to the
states
Panama
talk
Canal.
now.
That's that he think he doesn't
Again,
understand
we
the
built
significant
that.
Well, that's how
difference between the
it gets talked
Exactly.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Panama Canal
I
is
think there's
something
like
that was made
such a
in the
fundamental difference to me
They are
between like
very
okay,
different.
we have land here and we're gonna build like a
Things-
project on it and then we're gonna charge people
Lactoid
to
cares about
use this
homesteading
thing
laws.
to use
They don't have to
because
use
it's
it.
about it's that like it's you made this thing that people can benefit from. It would make more sense to profit off of that as opposed to you come into something that's already there. In this case, like a natural waterway, and you say like, hey, despite the fact we've all agreed that there's like certain water territorial rights, yours don't matter because we can lay more mines along the Strait of Hormuz. And again, as somebody else pointed out, multiple people pointed out here, it's not the oil mostly isn't even going to us. Like
That's not how global oil markets
Yeah,
work.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that like what I'm pointing out is there's a lot of other countries here.
of it.
There's a lot of other countries here that are suffering more, like the oil shortages in East Asia are much worse
Those are our allies.
than
China's
anything that
really
we're
not
suffering from.
Yeah, but we would
China's
be
not
if-
suffering the way they thought they would, right? Like,
Well, it's gonna be
Gibbs
offset
was
a
here,
little
he'd be
bit.
talking about, oh yeah, China's the ones getting the whooping, right? No, that's not the case. China
They're
is
getting a little
actually very whooping. Well,
If oil
China's
can
very
be
well
bought here, someone
insulated.
will, like,
Hold
the
on,
other
China
countries will
has
buy it.
China has a diverse energy mix, right? And they have, just like our friend Waddell's been saying this entire time, they've been investing into green energy a lot, right? But even more than that, they have a very
Still lower than
diverse
us.
energy mix. They aren't
And not
doesn't-
getting into
but it
wars
just
and
doesn't
wasting
matter.
money.
In the end, China has come out ahead, right? Can we? I wonder if we can agree with this, right?
Yes, they're
On
doing
the world stage,
good right
China has
now.
come out ahead by not bombing themselves into this, by having their greatest enemy expose their weaknesses in military combat, right? In front of for the world to see, by weakening them, by making them by America making itself look stupid, and China just sitting back and looking like the adult. Can we agree that
Mhm.
China came out ahead in this? Rather than
Out of the
not?
big three powers, China is. We had this conversation. If the aliens came down today, the greatest leader to speak to would be the Chinese leadership. You can't trust the American leadership. You're not talking to the Russians. You're talking to the Chinese.
Yeah, even Trump is going over to talk to the Chinese.
Have a good
Go
one,
ahead,
Bam. I
Connor.
know you
Look
gotta
me in
go.
the face and tell me that that the aliens are coming and talking to Trump. What the fuck?
Sorry, that's
Oh.
an accent.
I'm
look-
probably more upset by the truth of your statement than I am skeptical of it.
Yeah, cool. See,
I
it's-
would
think
cite
about the
things like
aliens.
hold on. No, I would cite things like military power, economic size, and all that kind of stuff. But China, you know, when you look at China on the long term rather than the last century, they're probably the longest running stable power in Asia. So I would talk to the Chinese. If I was coming to the world, I would talk to the Chinese as well.
Yeah.
I'd probably talk to the Americans, but that's just because of the military and the economic shit. But I would talk to the Chinese for sure.
Oh my god, the meltdown in America if the aliens came and talked to the Chinese person.
If they talk to Trump or Cook, bro.
Yeah, I know them. Do you want them to talk to Trump first? Actually,
Listen, it's my favorite thought experiment. That's how I determine who's doing good.
Yeah, so but Lacto, do you agree with me? That
I think China would be more fucked than they are if we didn't push Russia into basically being their gas station. I think that is probably in large part why perhaps they've been able to weather this. But like when you look at like India, for example, they've been struggling. There was massive spikes when the strait closed. A lot of other countries, not entirely our allies, but other countries that are in the area that receive most of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz are going to suffer from this. I think that if we backed off and we didn't commit more military forces and the strait remained closed because of Iranian conflict with Israel, I think that you do hit a certain point where East Asia begins suffering far more than we do. But if you're saying like, but if you're saying like right now, just because we are the ones that have put in like, $100 billion worth of military, we are the ones that basically have the agreement definitely doesn't look like we came out on top. I think that right now, I think that the U.S. probably, we have the most egg on our face over this whole thing. But in some respects, I sort of agree with what you said before, which is like, maybe it is a good thing that we get a little bit of this embarrassment before we get protracted into a 20-year war. Because, maybe some early fuck-ups with Afghanistan may have been a little bit better than the sort of false confidence we got from the early victories leading us to sit there for 20 years. So who knows?
Yeah. Wish you had said that when Bam was here. That would have been great. But still,
bring him back.
Bring him back for that. But yeah, counterpoints. You seem like you had some pushback from me there. Do you still feel that way? That like it's clearly wrong that China does not come out ahead? Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I don't know. China, 20% of their petroleum. Sorry, let me formulate a thought. The United States is a net exporter. We had our strategic oil reserves that offset the costs that we were taking as a result of the global spike. So all in all, while $4 or $5 a gallon at the pump is painful, realistically, if we didn't have our strategic oil reserve, we'd be looking at $8, $10 a gallon or something like that. And you actually would see riots in the streets. Weirdly enough, you would see a neoconservative revival as Americans protest, not to stop wars, but to start wars to get the gas prices under control. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I saw footage of that in the 1970s during the oil shocks. Under LB, was it Lyndon B. Johnson? No. Under Carter. Under Carter. There were straight up working class people rioting in the street, demanding that the United States seize military control of the Middle East and North Africa in order to get petroleum prices under control. So you might actually see that. Anyways, though. So China is, I think 20% of their net import of petroleum products does come from Iran specifically. That's not even to mention the Gulf states that are also likely a part of their import. So I would say that they probably got fucked harder than we did. The $100 billion, I would have to take the calculation to see how bad they're fucked. But you understand, like the modern civilized world runs on petroleum. So
I do understand.
$100 billion is probably piss in the ocean compared to the global economy.
Yeah, hold on. And here's, I have multiple reasons to think this way. One, in terms of this toll, if it does stand, which it might, guys, you need to accept this. It actually might stand. As this has gone along, right? Yeah, ships have been coming through, right? Some the U.S. has snuck through, right? The blockade. Others, but most of them, they just paid the toll. Right, the ones that came through, they just paid the toll, and their countries like agreed to pay the toll, and then what were they paying the toll in? They were paying in cryptocurrency and yuan, right? Chinese yuan. We have a situation where, yes, in terms of their economy, they took a hit, but again, I don't think it's as big as a hit as you think. And I've seen experts talk about this, and it's just like not. It like, and looking at the results, the actual results after all this time, because we got plenty of time to observe them, right? It doesn't seem like it's taken a massive hit in terms of the economy in the same way. But in any case, right? But even if they did, right? Like in terms of the global, the world stage, how had they not come out ahead? How, like, simply by doing nothing? Well, not even doing nothing, because they've been part of the negotiations. Actually, they've been like, my understanding, they've been like partnering with Pakistan as part of the negotiations of Iran and stuff. But throughout this, they've shown to be a stable government. And again, I hate the CCP. Fuck the CCP. Fuck the CCP. Right? But they've shown themselves to be a stable government that doesn't go off into wild military adventures. They haven't expended their military resources for this, right? Like the U.S. has had to literally take interceptors from different areas. I believe they also took them from Taiwan. Don't quote me on that, but they took them from other areas within the Gulf states, at the very least, right? To protect Israel. They pulled them back from those Gulf states to protect Israel, of course, science masters. So, and then they expose their weaknesses, right? If it wasn't clear before what America was weak to, they know it now, right? They've studied this entire thing. And at the same time, they've been reaching out and making more allies. People have, like, and this is also with the tariff stuff, right? Like, economies have been reorienting themselves away from the United States, because the United States has shown itself to be unstable and unserious, honestly. So again, I don't see how China doesn't come out ahead. Did I lie about anything I said there?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you're lying about anything that you've said, but I feel like this is your perception. Okay. So for instance, like when it comes to the Middle East and North Africa and the Gulf states, yeah, sure, getting the shit bombed out of you by Iran might be disconcerting, and it is the United States' fault. But that's also going to increase purchases from the Gulf states for American tech, like the CRAM systems and the interceptor systems. It's also probably going to, I know this is probably like secret squirrel shit, but it's also going to accelerate the development of like directed energy weapons, because one of the problems that we had here was we were spending like $1 million or $500,000 missile to blow up a $50,000 drone. Yeah. So, the economies of scale don't work. The inventory doesn't work. That being said, though, like China, when you say that China's coming out ahead, I'm presuming that they would be like jockeying for the position of world hegemon, but I think they're literally not interested in it. I think that they're more interested in regional power projection than they are global power projection.
And Africa.
But I don't see that.
Money in
They've been
Africa.
doing a lot.
How did this not help?
They got money in Africa.
But I don't see that as any different than before. Like, in my opinion, but like, what are you saying has changed? What's changed?
Didn't they just offer a bunch of different countries money after like the United States like pulled out from US aid, and they started offering to like replace all of the different things that we were giving to everybody? Like, what they do still seem interested in world hegemony, and mainly not just because they want to be in charge, but more so because they want to weaken us so that we're not able to have as much leverage over them anymore.
I think that's
doing it.
I mean, that's kind of always been true. And PEPFAR and USAID.
Power.
Sorry, real quick. PEPFAR was predominantly in Africa, and China has always been interested in development in Africa.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but America, weirdly enough, I've heard
European nations.
Sure,
have
I'm
been
just
cozying up
correcting
to
the
China too.
presupposition that they're not interested.
Oh, sorry, Riddell, do you want to say something?
I mean, I pretty much agree with Tom. I mean, the argumentation is clearly what they're able to do because of United States withdrawal. So if they're increasing their influence in these areas, I don't see how you can't say that they're trying to grow their overall impact on the world stage. I don't know how that.
Because they're
I
doing
guess,
it differently.
I guess
they're not trying to be in control. Wait, is it because they're not trying to be in control? They're not doing it through hard power. They are doing it through soft power and like assistance through people. So it doesn't seem like they're trying to want to be a world police, but they're still a world player and in a better way because it's 2026. Hard power doesn't work. As to your point, we're spending $100,000 missiles to kill $50,000 drones.
Yeah, counterpoint.
See, hold on.
I agree.
This is something that's been asserted multiple times in this conversation, though. But something did change my mind a long time ago about this. So in Iraq, I was kind of befuddled that we had spent trillions of dollars and yet we didn't seize the oil fields for ourselves. Right? Like we spent like $1 or $2 trillion in the war on terror, but we didn't get the profit back. But then what I realized was what had happened is Bush's buddies, they didn't spend $2 trillion. $2 trillion was put on the national debt. Right? And so what's going on is the in my opinion, the American national debt is funny money for international corporations to provide security for the world economy.
Yes.
That's what it is. And so at this point, though, if the world economy, I think it either is on the verge of surpassing $100 trillion or it's already past $100 trillion, America and its allies are probably representative of 2/3 of that economic pie. That economic activity continues. You're going to get your Funko Pops. You're going to get your, data centers. You're going to get your microchips. You're going to get your Doritos. You're going to get your Mexican Coke and your American Coke. And so for when you're saying like, it's not working. When I think of a not working system, I think of like people getting raped, dying of famine, like all that kind of shit. That's not happening in Europe. That's not happening in the United States. That's not happening.
What about
in the
civil
Americas.
unrest? What about your citizens? Like literally feeling like they can't afford to live.
Do they work? Do they pay their taxes? Do they become?
What if they stop? That's kind of like the window where we're
what if
going
they stop is an important question. And by the way, I think we have a fundamental economic imbalance.
The more important question: what if they can't
where the
anymore?
working class and the middle class are saying, this is no longer fair. We don't like participating in the system, and if you keep this up, we're going to fucking torch the entire goddamn.
I want to keep it in geopolitics
anymore.
Yeah.
What if they can't?
I want to keep this. I want to keep this in geopolitics. Come on. So I want to. Yeah. Okay. So counterpoints and Tom. At least I don't think your positions are all that far away from each other. Except that the counterpoints is saying they want to be rather than the global power, regional power, right? But to do those things, to become a regional power, they would be doing the things that Tom was talking about, right? They would actually, be going out through the world, right? Be making those alliances with the hopes of one day weakening the U.S.'s influences back with where they are in their local region, right? But going out and getting access to resources in Africa, right, strengthens their position in the South China Sea, right? The Chinese Sea, right? Those things can be married to one another without them trying to be a global hegemon.
Yeah, no. And if I had to guess, my suspicion would be that China would want to. The only hard power projection they would want to do is they would want to re-seize Taiwan because they view that as a part of historical China. But after that, they would probably want to go to a tributary system, which is effectively what they had during the imperial period, where all the Southeast Asian countries and all the Western Asian countries, they effectively just have to abide by China's economic and political terms if they want to do business. That's been China's model for arguably 3,000 years.
I mean, don't you think it's kind of concerning that as of recently, China was able to kind of leverage their authority against the United States to the point where we're removing aid to Taiwan? Wouldn't that be a perfect embodiment of the powers changing in real time?
Not really. The reason why I'm saying that is because it was kind of ballsy. If you actually sorry for being a geopolitical nerd for a second, but if you look at Taiwan, when we look at it, we see an island that's on the immediate outskirts of China, like we're trying to get into Asia and Taiwan's in our way. But if you actually look at China, they have like a barrier reef of a chain of islands that they actually claim, of which Taiwan is a part of that barrier. And so effectively, from their like geostrategic perspective, their buffer, their barrier has been pierced. And not only has their buffer or barrier been pierced, but this is historically the enemies of the Chinese Communist government, because literally the nationalist government of China escaped to Taiwan. So they want to end, or they want to unify with Taiwan for political reasons, but also for like geostrategic reasons. And it was actually pretty ballsy. So for instance, like I'm old enough to remember that when China was saber rattling in the 90s, Clinton specifically sailed like the American aircraft carrier fleet between China and Taiwan, basically saying, fuck you, this is an international waterway. And that was viewed as like quite a provocative move. So I think the American perspective is, we're going to try to make Taiwan as porcupiney as possible, as difficult to eat for China as possible. But I actually think that once we get microchips onto U.S. soil, like the most advanced generation of microchips, Taiwan's probably going to be a minimal concern for us. We'll have some humanity. We'll say we care about democracy. We'll say we care about democracy and we care about the plight of the Taiwanese people. But if they actually get swallowed by China, we're not going to care.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're going to care about the microchips more.
We're no longer going to be willing
have some
to put
issues with
resources
that,
into it.
So
I understand that. I'm gonna go.
No, you go first, Fidel.
I mean, I understand that if we're talking about like, you know, what you provide for me, of course, but I do think there's another element, and you kind of like touched upon it, which I agree with, in terms of like what Taiwan provides us in as with like positional value, and of course the kind of overall kind of perception of what we are to the world. Because I think you also co-signed the idea of like United States being a military police as one of the strongest arguments, despite Ukraine not being a part of like NATO, for example. If we let Taiwan just go and China have it, isn't that eroding that core concept of United States presence at the world stage at that point? Isn't that completely deteriorated?
It could, but at the same time, like, what are we expecting? So just as an example, like the Chinese
just real quick, you realize we didn't fight against Russia initially when they first went in and started going into Ukraine, right? Like when Obama was in and they started going into Kiev.
Yeah, we just provided weapons.
They didn't. Even then we didn't do shit. We didn't do anything.
Factoid.
But that's what I'm saying with Taiwan is
we
will continue to sell them weapons so the Taiwanese can maintain some level of independence.
Real quick.
What?
We totally gave them shit before 2022. We gave them billions of dollars for their shit.
But anyways, the Chinese Navy, what they're trying to do right now is they're not actually trying to build like an amphibious assault force the way that the United States is. What they're doing is they're dual purposing commercial ships, and they have a massive commercial shipping industry. And so they're dual purposing them so they can actually put like missile launchers, troops, ammo, all that kind of stuff onto commercial vessels. But what the Chinese would do probably over the course of like a week is they would just drown Taiwan in human beings, paratroopers, troops unloaded from commercial vessels, missiles fired from commercial vessels. And if they took a huge amount of losses, they wouldn't give a shit. So effectively what would happen is, yeah, sure, the United States military would mobilize, but would we deploy 30,000 Marines or 10,000 Marines or, from, Okinawa in order to fight Chinese People's Liberation Army soldiers in the streets of Taiwan? I think the chances of that is pretty low.
Well, which is why us like keeping our allies currently and having as much global power as possible is really important. And what's going on with Iran, what's going on with like everything that Trump has been doing with our